Field. Playoff baseball is on the air. The Indianapolis Indians trail this best-of-5 series 2-1 against Oklahoma City. A championship chill is in the air for tonight's all-important Game 4. Alongside Joe Hillman, I'm Ron Sexton. Let's talk about the Indians. A comeback victory last night, but that win means nothing unless they can string 2 more together.
Well, huge momentum last night, scoring those 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th, and unless they can come back, get the job done tonight, it does them no good, as you mentioned. But if they do get tonight, all the pressure's on the 89ers tomorrow night.
It was a key 4-run 8th inning last night for the Indianapolis Indians, and so far this season, especially late, it's been the young guns who have come through. Case in point, a young guy named Steve Eady last night with a big double. He'll get the start, his first ever AAA start tonight.
Well, manager Dave Miley's going to go with Eady, and he's provided a hot bat. He's had 2 at-bats, 2 doubles, a couple RBIs, and he's going to get a chance to get a full game in and see if he can stick with that hot stick.
Contrast those young guns with the veterans, the likes of an Eric Pappas behind the plate, the guy we'll watch for Oklahoma City.
Well, Eric Pappas has hit the ball very well in this series. He's got a home run with 6 RBIs, and he's got to continue to swing a bat for the 89ers, and that's something that they've been able to do. They've had a little more key hitting than the Indians have.
Joe, what about some of the keys? What about for the Indians in tonight's Game 4?
Well, the Indians have got to get the timely hits. They've got to get some 2-out hits. They've got to get some hits with runners in scoring position. For example, last night, 3 hits in an inning and don't score. And in the Oklahoma City, they've got to get some early runs. They can jump on Marcus Moore early. He's had a little problems getting past the 4th, 5th innings for the Indians, and they get early. They get to Danny Patterson in the bullpen late, and he's been tough.
2 right-handers tonight. Joe mentioned Marcus Moore. Steve Dreyer will go for Oklahoma City. It's Game 4. The Niners lead it 2-1. Live play-by-play will come your way next. Championship baseball. Stay tuned.
I'm Jim McKay.
Field in Indianapolis, a strikeout from Marcus Moore, and the Indians off to a fairly good start here in Game 4, trailing this best-of-5 series 2-1. Brian Thomas goes down swinging, 1 out in the inning, and John Shave at the plate for the 89ers. Did not play last night, but he's hit in all 6 playoff games in which he's played. Take a look at the batting order now for the Oklahoma City 89ers. Again, Thomas already retired. There you see Shave at 308, followed by Ortiz, who's had a strong postseason. He's been slapped out of play. Derek Lee, Pineda rather. Sagmon, Papasquill, and Estrada, and there's a look at the Indianapolis Indians defense. Mike Kelly, who normally plays right field, is not tonight. He has a sore back. He twisted it, missed playing a double to deep right field last night. So it's Dan Howitt in right field. The most pretty much remains the same, for the rest rather, for the Indians defensively. So 1 out, 1 ball, and 2 strikes. Ron Sexton, Joe Hillman, high atop Victory Field. And the right-hander Marcus Moore brings a plate. We're just a bit high. Marcus Moore, some say, Joe, the liveliest arm in the Reds organization.
Got very good stuff, got a live fastball, and his big key is, can he throw his off-speed pitches for strikes? If he can, he's effective. If not, the 89ers are going to get him.
John Shave has made it a point trying to work deeper into counts, and it's helped him here in the postseason. He hit .266 during the regular season. 2 balls and 2 strikes right here. On that pitch, fouls it straight back.
One thing the 89ers have to do tonight, they have to be patient against Marcus Moore. He usually goes deep into counts, throws a lot of strikeouts, throws a lot of balls, goes deep, 3-2, 3-1 in a lot of people's at-bats, and they've got to be patient. Get some walks, get some runs, get some movement on, and make Marcus Moore throw strikes.
And back-to-back strikeouts as Joe Kmek completes play. So quickly 2 down here at the top of the 1st inning. Marcus Moore 0-1 in the postseason. He lost against Buffalo. His ERA in the postseason 6.75. Went 4 innings in that 1 start. Allowed 3 earned runs, 7 hits, 1 home run, but had 5 strikeouts. In the regular season, had more innings pitched than hits allowed, which is certainly a plus, and was 4-7 during the regular season with an ERA of 3.45. Started the year on the Reds, in the Reds bullpen actually. Luis Ortiz steps in. .290 batting average here in the postseason. Pitch high, 2 balls and no strikes. Moore thought he found the corner, but not quite. So 3-0 to Luis Ortiz. 0 for 4 last night. Hassan Pop had 14 home runs during the regular season. He switches corners and locates this time.
Boy, there's a 3-0 gimme there. That ball was definitely inside. And here's what we're talking about with Marcus Moore. I mean, we're looking at 3-1 here, and he just always seems to work deep in the count. But he's got some live stuff and saws off Ortiz's bat there for the third out.
So a half complete. The kind of start Marcus Moore had in mind. It's no score from Victory Field. The playoff series continues. We're back after this.
Come on in to Substop. A little bite is one of life's big pleasures. You're gonna smack your lips when you see what we've got cooking. We start with fresh taste, ain't nothing quite like it. The flavor never stops from the second you bite it. So come on in to Substop. A little bite is one of life's big pleasures.
Is he dead? Nope, he's just plain dead. Watch.
Oh, what a pity.
Dad, where do you see what Sparky can do?
Here's the lineup in batting order. Dave Miley sends out for tonight's game 4. One of the young guns to lead things off. Tacomba Connor has 10 strikeouts and 33 at-bats so far this season, followed by Kremlis Belk. Dan Howitt in right field, not DHing tonight. Followed by Gibraltar. Steve Eady, his first ever AAA start at third base. 2 for 2 with 2 pinch hit doubles for the Indians. There's a veteran, Joe Kamak. Wilson and Santana rounded out the batting order for the Indianapolis Indians. No score. Top half of the first. For the 89ers defensively, Sagmon in left, Pineda in center field, Derek Lee in right. From third to first, it's Estrada, Benji Gill with 2 errors in this postseason. John Shea back in action tonight. Luis Ortiz, Pappas behind the mound. The starting pitcher is Steve Dreyer. This is his first playoff start. He had pitched 4 innings of relief against Omaha. No runs, 5 hits, and 2 strikeouts in that relief work with 1 walk. In the regular season, Joe, he had the 10th best ERA in the American Association of 3.89.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see how Steve Dreyer pitches tonight as far as how long is he going to be able to go. He started 14 games in the regular season, but he hasn't made a start for a while. This is his first one in the playoffs, and let's see how many innings he can go. I'll be interested to see how long the pitching staff for the 89ers sticks with him. 5-6 innings. If he can do that, bonus for the 89ers.
We're told he's not a hard thrower. Likes to work off speed a great deal, and started the year on the Rangers roster, but suffered some arm trouble, and that's why we're watching him now here in this championship series.
Really looks like he likes to work quick, which is always a bonus for the defense. Keep guys active, get them ready to play. Defenses always seem to play better when you move the ball and throw strikes like he does with the first 3 pitches for a strikeout on Connor.
He's now 11 strikeouts and 34 bats for Tacomba Connor. He's hitting 273 coming in tonight, so that's going to take just a dip a bit more, but if he can get on base, he's effective. He's stolen 2 bases in the playoffs. He's just been overmatched with some of the veteran off-speed pitching and some of the breaking pitches. Some of these veterans that he's faced. Again, you want to stress this guy has come up from the Winston-Salem Warthogs, which is single A, to play directly here in AAA, and to do so in the postseason. So he's seen some really good pitching.
Well, I think what Connor's had problems with is when he gets ahead in the count, guys are throwing him off-speed pitches, and he's been chasing a few. And but he has come up with some key hits for the Indians, and been a guy that started the rally last night.
Quickly 0-2 to the veteran to contrast things. Frank Kremlis, 3 for 4 last night. Knocked in a run, scored 2 runs. His first homer of the playoffs in the 6th inning. Hit just 198 during the regular season. I'd like to welcome all those watching back in Oklahoma City. Certainly those fans would like to see it wrapped up tonight. And both pitchers begin their outings with back-to-back strikeouts.
Well, the way Dreyer started, this is going to be a quick game. It is 7 pitches, 6 strikes, 2 strikeouts. He seems to be a pitcher that not going to overpower anybody. Looks like he's got a couple pitches that he can throw for strikes besides his fastball. Looks like he's got a nice little slider and an off-speed pitch. And here's a batter that the Indians have got to get going if they're going to have any chance to win the next 2 games. He's got to come up. Tim Belk's got to be a guy that's going to drive in some key runs for the Indians.
Especially when you consider he had 15 home runs during the regular season and the struggled at times here in the playoffs. 1 for 4 last night. Nobody on, 2 down, bottom half of the first, and the count now even to Tim Belk. He's another player that, despite all the call-ups, Joe, 0-2 the count rather, spent some time with the Reds earlier this season. So still some guys with some valuable experience that managed to carry this Indians team to the championship series. I guess Pappas thought that was strike 3.
Boy, I don't know what Belk was looking for. That's awful close to take with 2 strikes, but I think he was fooled. I think he was looking off speed there, and Dreyer threw him a fastball on the outside part of the plate. Pretty good pitch.
This one to straightaway center field. Fanata goes back and makes the catch.
Oh, great running catch there to get the 3rd out.
So Rickard Fanata hauls it in to round out, and we have 1 complete from Victory Field in Indianapolis. Lanky right-hander getting set to oppose the Oklahoma City 89ers here in the top half of the 2nd inning. It was 1-2-3 for each team. No score. Marcus Moore will face Derek Lee to lead things off here in the top of the 2nd inning. Ron Sexton and Joe Hillman live from Victory Field in downtown Indianapolis. So Joe, for those watching in Oklahoma City, why don't you recap your baseball credentials for those who may not be aware of it?
Well, I played baseball at Indiana University, and then I was drafted by the Oakland A's and played a couple of years in the minor league system, and then decided that basketball was my sport and went ahead and kept playing that. So now I reside in Indianapolis and got a chance to do the Indians games, and it's been a lot of fun, especially coming to this beautiful park that the people in Oklahoma City, if you can come and see this is as good as any major league field, ballpark that there is.
DeCamba Connor battling this nighttime chill, and perhaps the lights appear to be a bit unsure of it once it left. But he hauls it in. We have 1 down.
You know, we've mentioned quite a bit on the Indians and how many guys have been called up to the Reds, but the 89ers are in the same situation. I mean, Lee Stevens, who's the MVP of this league, is called up. He's a great home run hitter, great average, and he's no longer a part of the 89ers lineup. We saw Rick Helling pitch a fantastic game here, one of the very first games that the Indians played at Victory Field, and he's now been traded to the Florida Marlins. So both teams in this situation, you're going to lose some players, and you're going to have some young guys and some guys that have been around come through for you.
Yeah, Oklahoma City won the first ever game at this ballpark, and they would like to win the last game this season at least. That would mean they would wrap up this series. Understand they have a new ballpark there in Oklahoma City set to unveil next year. It's ball 4 to Fanita.
Well, Victory Field's been a big success for the Indians. The Indians have been drawing. They set an attendance record, and a lot of that was when they came to the new ballpark. They were drawing 10,000 people a night, which is great for AAA baseball.
So Fanita, who was 0 for 4 last night, reaches tonight thanks to a base on balls. Here's Mark Sagmon, big homer to wrap up game 3, or rather game 2 for Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that put them up 2-1, and they ended up scoring an insurance run on a wild pitch, which ended up being a huge run. But Sagmon got him going, got him off that tie, and really gave them some momentum going into the latter part of those innings.
He was 1 for 5 last night, drove in a run, hit .293 during the regular season. So down to just .250 here in the playoffs. And this is something that we had discussed at the outset. You have a runner on base, 1 out, but they would really like to get to more early.
Well, they're going to have to. I mean, as you can see with that pitch, I mean, he's really got some great movement on his ball. And what you've got to do against Marcus Moore is make him throw the strikes. You can't be swinging at his pitches that are, he's got a good hard sinker or type of forkball, split-fingered pitch that really dives down hard. And his fastball, he really gets a lot of times up and out of the strike zone that people go after.
Pitches outside. We talk about the walks. Indians pitching that was allowed only now 11 walks during the entire postseason. That's the fewest of any team, and yet they've played the most games. This is game number 9. You contrast that with an Oklahoma City 89er pitching, which is allowed over 30.
Well, that's basically what's kept the Indians in these series against Buffalo. They had great starting pitching, and that's what won that series for them. And they've been able to stay in these ball games against the 89ers with good pitching. I mean, it's been on both ways for both teams, but somebody's going to have to crack through here and get some big hits and that's what's going to happen in this series. I think it's going to sway on which team can come up with a couple big RBIs, 2-out base hits to keep innings going.
Runner going, but it's ball 4. So the excitement a bit uncalled for from the fans. Ball 4, 2 runners on. Interesting too, and maybe what's plagued Marcus more than anything is when you consider that when he was with the Reds and in the bullpen, most of his outings he would pitch from the stretch. And when runners are on base, the same is also here in this particular scenario, and oftentimes he has difficulty adjusting, at least in terms of throwing strikes.
Well, here's a situation with Pappas coming to the plate that we talked about in the opening. I mean, he's been hitting the ball very well, hitting 364 in the playoffs, and this is a perfect situation for the 89ers. They got a guy up with a hot bat. They're rallying, first and second, 1 out. Chance for them to jump on Marcus more early like we talked about.
Eric Pappas, 364 in the postseason compared to just 206 during the regular season. The Indians have faced an entirely different foe here in the cooler weather. Pappas has been clutch for his team. He's down a strike as the count evens up. This veteran has been around. Of course, a former member of the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cubs. I wonder if the ex-Cub factor has the same impact on this level as it does in the big leagues. Soft liner to Frank Grimless, so the key second out here in the top half of the second inning.
Well, that's a good fastball there by Marcus Moore that just rode in on Pappas and sawed him off, and big out. I mean, that was an awful good pitch to a hot hitter that keeps them from scoring, and now you got to get the third out with Benji Gill. And here again, the situation, 2-out base hit. What team's going to come up with that? You know, so far nobody's really exerted themselves at the offensive end in this series.
Well, Benji 3 for 4 last night. Here you see the playoff slate. Timely hitting, always so precious in big games.
It always seems like when you get into the playoff situations that each run counts more and more and more, and teams play for one run a little more than you would in the regular season, and see a little more bunting, and you know, you got to make sure you're moving runners over when you have opportunities. And so far in the Indian series, I'm not too sure in the Omaha and 89ers series, but every run seemed to be just an enormous lift for a team offensively. And I think what you're seeing now is these guys that have been called up, you got pitchers facing guys that haven't faced this type of pitching throughout the whole year.
There's Steve Eady, his first ever AAA start. He saves a run by knocking it down. We'll see, though, if he's issued an error since he failed to make the play. Let's take another look, Joe. What's your take?
Well, this is a play that Eady's got to make. I think if he told you, I mean, Gill goes down and pulls that outside pitch, but this is a play that Eady's got to cut off and throw to second. I think this has got to definitely be an error, but they give him a hit, so that surprised me a little bit, but he does keep it in the infield and keeps a run from scoring. But that's a play that Eady, I can guarantee you, would tell you he'd make 9 times out of 10.
So Estrada steps in with the bases loaded. He takes a quick strike. Now Moore will go back from the windup this time, which is perhaps a plus. Count, no balls and 1 strike. Estrada hits from the 9-hole for the Niner batting order. Pitch just high, 227. His average in the postseason hit 262 in the regular season, but just 1 for 5 last night against the Indians. This should be played. Wilson, the quick route and short way to Grimless. And the Indians avoid trouble in the second. No score after 1.5 from Victory Field. This is game 4, the best of 5. We're glad you're with us.
'96 was an incredible 89ers baseball season. 89ers are in the playoffs, and the excitement will continue in 1997 as the 89ers play their final season at All Sports Stadium.
2-run home run for Lee Stevens.
Celebrate the 89ers glory days and be a part of the exciting future of 89er baseball at the new ballpark in Bricktown.
Yes, and Rick Kelly
For season tickets, skyboxes, and group outings, call 946-8989.
I'm Jim McKay with another update from the 2020 Global Games. Little shot Glenn Keller captured the gold today on the highly uneven bars, while Austria's gentle giant Milos dominated the one-ton power lift. The highlight of the day so far was the record-breaking 300-meter dolphin relay.
The world of sports has evolved since all sport. Now with B vitamins, athletes need to unlock carbohydrate energy. It's more than a thirst quencher, it's a body quencher.
Coming up later, the graduated hurdles.
Festive atmosphere at Victory Field. Game 4 of this best-of-5 series. Back home again in Indiana. The Indianapolis Indians trying to wrap up another championship series. Over the last 10 years, they've won 5 American Association titles. We would certainly like to christen this new ballpark with another one. There's Steve Dreyer, tonight's starting pitcher for the Niners, right-hander. First start of the postseason, and leading off for the Indians, usually a DH. Dan Howard is starting in right field tonight. Mike Kelly, the regular starter there, is out with a sore back. Trying to play a double off the wall last night, twisted his back, so Kelly has a night off. Perhaps he could pinch hit if necessary. Howard hits from the cleanup hole, Joe, and cleanup hitters 5 for 29 for the Indians in the postseason, and no runs batted in.
Yeah,
not much cleaning up.
The Indians just haven't had the power that they've had in the regular season. That they've only hit 2 home runs in the first 8 games of playoffs, and a lot of that is because guys have left. But Howard's a guy that can provide some pop for the Indians, and you know, he's a guy that's got the ability to hit home runs.
This one to right center, but Pineda is there to haul it in. 1 out. Yeah, Howard has taken advantage of that 320 marker down the right field line in batting practice this afternoon. Doesn't pull it quite enough, so 1 out. Here's Steve Gibraltar, another player in the lineup who is struggling by his standards.
Oh yeah, and a lot of expectations this year on Steve Gibraltar. He had a great start of last year's, and then he breaks his thumb and doesn't play the rest of the way, and he's struggled all year. He has not been the same hitter that we saw last year for the Indians, and he may be trying to do a little too much. I mean, especially now with he's been a guy that's been around, and they lose Perez, they lose Owens, and some of the other guys, and I think he's tried to step up because he knows he has to provide a little more pop at the plate.
He not like Belk, but actually he started the year. Belk spent time with the Reds. Gibraltar started the year with the Reds. Big league organization, and misplayed a ball in left field, and shortly thereafter was sent back down to the Indians. There are some who believe he really never recovered from being sent back down. Apparently he had some words with Ray Knight and was unhappy about the decision.
Well, they were even looking to trade him possibly. His name came up a couple times in the Indianapolis papers as far as about being traded in deals right before the trading deadline with the Reds. And you know, he's a guy that's got good power. He can hit to all fields. He can run. He's got a good arm. And he's a good all-around player. And you know, if what happened at the start of the year with the Reds is what's caused him to have this little bit of a lull this season, you know, he's got to get over that and just get back to playing baseball and prove that he can get back up there.
And he swings through the payoff pitch. So now 2 outs in the inning and 3 strikeouts for Steve Dreyer, all swinging.
He's not known for a strikeout pitcher, but he is throwing strikes and gotten the Indians to chase a few, and so far he's been very impressive. And here's the last pitch here for strike 3, and you know, just a good hard fastball, and Gibraltar just swung under it. Good pitch. I mean, he really is pulling off that ball though, and you know, that's part of the problem that Gibraltar's had all year. He seems to be trying to hit everything out of the ballpark instead of just hitting the ball and going with the pitch and let his natural power, which is what he did last year. He hit home runs to all fields.
What about this guy, Steve Eady? 2 at-bats for the Indians, both pinch hits and both doubles, and a key knock last night. This is his first start, though, for the team.
Well, he got a nice little break there in that last inning as far as the official score giving that Benji Gill a hit, but they didn't come back to haunt him. And, you know, this is an opportunity for him to show what he can do, and he's provided 2 hits and 2 at-bats, and he's an aggressive hitter, and he goes up swinging. And except he looks at strike 3 there as soon as I talk about it. So, you know, as soon as you ever say anything like that, it always comes back to haunt you.
It appears as though he knew it as well. So 2 innings complete, still no score. The Niners with the only hit. Game 4, best of 5, as we continue from Victory Field in downtown Indianapolis.
Some of life's most important connections are made possible with OG&E electricity. On a dark and stormy night, OG&E can shed a little light.
Training is such a bore.
Nothing's more intense than slamming a dude. Whoa, Andre's really on fire. Whoa, gotta hand it to those new coaches.
Bravo! Brilliant! Smashing! Good shot! Out.
It's a love affair between the fans and this new ballpark in Indianapolis, Victory Field. A record year for attendance. There's a lot of hoopla involving the farewell tour of Old Bush Stadium, which has been around for nearly 100 years. And so the fans were out to bid farewell and now christen this new ballpark. No score after 2 innings complete. It's back to the top of the order for Oklahoma City. Brian Thomas, the DH. Rare that you see a designated leader as a leadoff man. Designated hitter, rather. Had the night off last night. Hit .263 during the regular season. Count evens up, 1 ball and 1 strike. Moore's been missing high more times than missing lower outside.
And that's what he is with his fastball. He doesn't seem to throw a lot of strikes with his fastball, and really more often than not, he gets people to chase pitches. And if you can be patient, which the 89ers have been so far, you can get Marcus Moore to issue a lot of walks. And you know, there's an example right there. Thomas looked to be taken all the way at 3-1, and you know, it just seems to you can't let him get away with throwing balls and you swinging at him. And you know, Brian Thomas there just picks up the 3rd walk of the game here for the 89ers, and this is Marcus Moore's problem. I mean, here's another fastball, and it kind of rides up and out. And, you know, tough getting leadoff walks. Leadoff walks usually come back to score, and especially games like this where you're looking now to get a run. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Shave is bunting. They may go hit and run. There's a lot of things you can do when that leadoff batter gets on first.
He does square.
Bunt and run.
And directly to Tim Belk. No play at second base. Shaves retired at first. Thomas was running on the pitch. He was at second by about the time Belk gloved him.
I'll tell you what, if John Shave would have seen the jump that Brian Thomas got, he takes that pitch, and Brian Thomas may have stolen that with no throw because he got an enormous jump that time on Marcus Moore.
So Shave with the sacrifice. We have 1 down here in the 3rd.
But Shave did his job. I mean, he did his job. He got the runner across, and you know, now Ortiz, who's hit the ball fairly well in the playoffs, gets a chance to put the 89ers on top.
It's missing outside. Ortiz 0 for 4 last night. 14 home runs during the regular season.
Let's see if Ortiz speeds it up a little bit. Last at bat, he got jammed a little bit by Marcus Moore. And let's see if he kind of gets in, speeds up his bat a little bit, and tries to drive one here.
stings the outside corner. 2 balls and 1 strike. Yeah, it appears that on occasion tonight, Moore's fastball is tailing into the right-hand hitter away from the left-handers, and the lefties just aren't biting.
No, that's the way his ball normally moves. It really rides in on right-handers, and that's what makes him tough against right-handed hitters is the ball starts in the middle of the plate, rides inside, and it actually becomes a ball, and that's great movement by Marcus Moore. But if a guy goes up there looking and taking some pitches, the ball ends up moving out of the strike zone, and that's where he gets in a little bit of trouble is when guys aren't up there swinging and being aggressive, he throws a lot of balls.
The 2-2. Foul straight back. Thomas at second has stolen a base here in the postseason. Unlikely that he would attempt to take third here, but he's stolen a base and been caught once in the playoffs.
You know, we talk about Marcus Moore's movement, but he's got a very live arm. I mean, he throws the ball up around 90 to 93 miles an hour, and with the movement he's got, if he could learn to control a little bit better, he'd be an awful tough pitcher to hit.
He's been fouled right back at us nearly, and it's probably such a plus for him to have a guy, a veteran pitching coach like Grant Jackson. You think that over time, I would have to venture to guess that Grant might get him more working out on the right track. He's done so many pitchers that same way that they might come down here, struggle, and then produce quite well in short time for the Reds organization.
Well, a lot of guys, anybody that's got the talent that Moore's got with the lively arm that he has is going to always be a prospect to where you can work with him, whether he comes out of the bullpen or starts as he has the last few times we've seen him with the Indians. But I mean, he could be a guy that ends up being a closer with some of the movement that he's got.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 away in the top of the third with a runner on.
You know, sometimes as a pitcher, it just takes a little time to find your niche. I mean, he pitched out of the bullpen with the Reds, but he was more of a setup guy. He's more of a middle relief guy, and then he's come here with the Indians, and he's been a starter. So maybe he's a guy that might have a possibility of being a closer someday. And he's got the live fastball, and here's a situation that with first base open, even though the lefty Lee is up next, he can't give in to Ortiz here. And he didn't. He threw him an off-speed pitch and put him on base. You know, he didn't want to give Ortiz anything right there that he could drive and knock in that winning run. And this is a 3-2 slider, and it's just down. This pretty good piece of hitting here by Ortiz. He doesn't bite for it because you've got to be looking fastball in that situation.
So Derek Lee with a runner in scoring position and 2 on with 1 out in the third. He had 13 home runs during the regular season, so he has some pop, and especially here at Victory Field with shorter distance down the line to right.
Well, again, the base on balls have got Moore in a little bit of trouble, and what the 89ers, we talked a little bit in the opening about the Indians getting some timely hits. Boy, the 89ers have had their chances here, and they've got the meat of their order up right now, and have had opportunities to chase Marcus Moore here early.
And on occasion, Moore's pitched through it. He had 6 walks against New Orleans back July 16th and actually won the game. Not too many pitchers can give up that many walks and be competitive, yet he wins on occasion.
Well, not a lot of guys get good licks at Marcus Moore. I mean, guys only hit 220 off him, and they just don't hit the ball hard off him very often. I mean, he hurts himself more often than the other team gets to him, and here Grant Jackson's going to go out and have a little word with him. But you know, this is the thing that we talked about. Marcus Moore throws a lot of pitches, and if you can be patient, he's going to put you on. He's going to give you some freebies once in a while.
Here's Grant Jackson, won Game 7 for the Pittsburgh Pirates in that championship year back in 1979. Part of the family, Sister Sledge, and all that goes along with that team. Dave Parker and the guys, Omar Marino, but Grant Jackson was right in the thick of things in Pittsburgh, and was the pitching coach for the Reds just a while back under Davey Johnson a few years ago. Now doing the honors for Dave Miley. Counts 2 balls and 1 strike with 1 away here in the top of the third inning with Derek Lee at the plate. Brian Thomas at second base. Issued a leadoff walk with Marcus Moore.
Lee going after him, but made a chase to pitch out of the strike zone. That you know, like I said, you got to make Marcus Moore come to you. Ortiz, obviously, or not Ortiz, but Lee cleanup hitter, he's going to be aggressive. He's going to swing the bat and try to drive in runs, which is what you want him doing in this situation.
This one fouled back again off to the left side.
We have a pretty good battle going on here. Lee's really an aggressive hitter. He's going to be a fastball hitter, and Moore's a power pitcher, and this is a key at bat. This is a pitch he's got to get into his strike. He can't go to 3-2 and let these guys get running, which, you know, we'll have to see what the 89ers do if that situation arises. But I think teams are going to be aggressive in this situation. If it goes to 3-2, you get guys moving.
This one shot to the gap. Howitt, though, has a bead, and he makes the catch. Thomas will tag from second base, so no harm done. That ball really jumped off the bat, but Howitt plays it nicely. And again, he's normally a designated hitter. Mike Kelly, who is your typical right fielder, is not playing tonight.
It looks like Lee just caught that off the end of the bat, just enough to keep it in the ballpark, and Howitt got a nice jump on the ball, makes a fine running catch, but I don't think Lee got all that one. I think it got a little bit off the end of the bat. That's what kept that ball from staying in the ballpark. You know, normally this is a pitcher-friendly park, and wind's usually blowing in, and it's not really doing much tonight.
Benitez sends one into right field. Howitt comes in to play it. Loves it, and with that, Marcus Moore avoids trouble one more time. We are scoreless after 2.5 from Victory Field in Indianapolis. This is Game 4, the championship series in the American Association.
Come on in to Substop. A little bite is one of life's big pleasures. You're gonna smack your lips when you see what we've got cooking. We start with fresh taste, ain't nothing quite like it. The flavor never stops from the second you bite it. So come on in to Substop. A little bite is one of life's big pleasures. Yeah.
Has life lost its flavor? You need
M-A-Y-O, Taco Mayo. M-A-Y-O. Put back the munch, add a little crunch. Get some change back for a change. Taco Mayo.
Bowls are back and baked to be better. Each taco salad is served in a crisp, fresh baked bowl, and your choice of beef, chicken, or veggie taco salad is only $2.99.
M-A-Y-O, Taco Mayo.
The last word in Tex-Mex taste.
That's Rowdy, one of 2 Indianapolis Indians mascot. The other is Macho Mike. You'll meet him after the 6th inning.
And he's a real treat for you 89er fans.
He dances to the Village People, does the Macarena, just about everything. A bit more versatile than Rowdy. Nonetheless, back to the game. Bottom half of the 3rd inning. Indians still searching for their first hit in this game, and they'll look to a guy who has hit the ball very well at Victory Field, especially in clutch situations. It's a guy who's known most of all during the regular season for his defense. Brooke Fordyce got the start on occasion and platooned with this guy, Joe Kamak. Hit .280 during the regular season. Steve Dreyer, the right-hander, with the start tonight for Oklahoma City. His only other outing here in the postseason occurred in a relief role.
Well, he's been cruising. I mean, he's throwing strikes and getting ahead of hitters, and you know that's the way he's got to pitch. He's not going to overpower anybody, but you know the defense is ready to play behind him because they know he's going to work quickly. And so far, the Indians haven't hit a ball hard.
Mack swings through the breaking pitch, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
The 89ers have let Marcus Moore off the hook a little bit. He's left the 89ers have left 5 men on base already in 3 innings, and we talked about if you could get to Marcus Moore early, you can usually get him out of the game by the 5th inning, but they've let it slide by.
Strikeout number 5 for Steve Dreyer, and here's another look.
Just a good pitch. Ball started on the outside and cut back in over the plate. And, you know, it almost looks like the Indian hitters are almost looking off speed against Dreyer because they don't believe he can throw the ball by him. But his fastball is a little sneakier and probably set up by his off-speed pitches and really comes in there a little quicker than most anticipate.
Brandon Wilson with Indianapolis' first hit of this ball game. Wasting no time, hopping on the first fastball he sees. I think it was a fastball, maybe not.
Yeah, that was a good smooth fastball. It's sinking down a little bit. Wilson went right after and got it. He's hit the ball fairly well in these playoffs for the Indians. He's now up around 300 in this series, and drew the bases loaded walk to put the Indians ahead last night. So, and he's been pretty solid defensively.
Ruben Santana hitting .393 in the playoffs. Wilson, by the way, has stolen 3 bases, is yet to be caught here in the postseason. So you have a player who's made contact with regularity. Do you hit and run here, Joe?
Well, I don't think you want to hit and run with 1 out. I think that puts yourself in a position where Santana makes an out. You got a guy out at second with 2 outs. Maybe just possible straight steal, but I don't like the situation when you have 1 out to hit and run and take the bat out of the guy's hands. That if he does his job, you have 2 outs and a runner on second.
Santana ahead in the count. Hit just .118 during the regular season, 1 for 4 last night. Is the DH tonight, has seen some time at third base. Wilson fakes the go at first, and the count evens up on Ruben Santana. For the Indians, this is their 3rd straight playoff appearance, and it's the only team in the league to accomplish that feat. They're a much better team at home in the postseason over the last 3 years. They're 6-1 at home. That would be Busch Stadium then, and Victory Field with last night's win, and then 4-7 on the road. No score, bottom of 3. This is game 4, best of 5. The Indians trail this series 2-1. 89ers won games 1 and 2. Indians won last night 5-3 with a 4-run 8th inning. And you can tell Steve Dreyer is fully aware of the stolen base ability of Brandon Wilson at first base.
Decently, nothing too big, but it almost looks like Wilson was going to be going there. He took a step towards second and got back, but here's a situation. Dryer's looking for a ground ball and then possibly an double play, but Santana's had some good fortune hitting in the playoffs. He's hitting .393. He's had a couple games where he hadn't hit the ball very hard, but they've seemed to be falling in.
This one shot into shallow right field toward the line. Derek Lee giving chase, makes the catch. It appeared as if he caught that ball twice.
That was a pretty good play there by Lee. I think he eventually called off Shave, and Shave got out of his way. And pretty good run here by Lee from right field. That was a pretty good play. And like you said, he may have bobbled this a little bit, but Shave gets out of his way there. Oh yeah, he did hit that right in the heel of his glove, and it came back up.
So with 1 out, Wilson remains at first. 2 outs rather, and we go to the top of the order. Dicamba Connor, strikeout victim, swinging his first time up. He led off that 4-run 8th last night with a base hit.
Here's a situation where I'd like to see Wilson take off. I mean, you got your leadoff hitter up. If Wilson's thrown out, Connor leads off, and if not, you give an opportunity to get Connor a base hit to score a run. He's not going to be a guy that's going to drive one deep and into the gap to score Wilson from first, I don't believe.
Down the line, but foul. Searching for contact to Dicamba Connor, and Dreyer with 5 strikeouts already in this game. As we mentioned, Connor the first victim in that category. That's Brandon Wilson at first base. And this one up the middle. Benji Gill, though, in time. John Shave. And inning over. The Indians will get their first hit. We're scoreless after 3 complete from Victory Field. The Indianapolis Indians and Oklahoma City 89ers.
Going to New Delhi, down to your bangy, but it's the unseen of toes, how pretty you'll see. Montenegro!
live in Indianapolis. We advance to the top half of the 4th inning. Still no score. Sagmon, Pappas, and Gill to lead things off here in the top half of inning number 4. Those are just $2 lawn seats here at Victory Field. Best bargain in the ballpark, and the fans love it. Oftentimes a bigger crowd there than some of the seats that you'll see. They pack them in. No balls and 1 strike to Sagmon. I'm Ron Sexton, joined by Howard Kellman, the radio voice of the Indianapolis Indians. Howard, how you been?
Doing fine, Ron. It's great to see you. We've had a very exciting series thus far.
No balls and 2 strikes now. This one with a bit more pop slapped foul and out of play.
Marcus Moore has lived very dangerously thus far, walking 2 in the 2nd, 2 more in the 3rd, but he's made some big pitches to get out of trouble, and got to credit pitching coach Grant Jackson. He went out there at the right time when he was struggling, and he settled him down.
Joe and I were discussing what a plus it must be for a young, lively arm like Marcus Moore to be tutored by such a veteran and savvy pitching coach like a Grant Jackson. And, I would think that after time that's certainly going to pay off.
You're right. Grant really has helped him.
Just missing inside.
Greg Biagini, the 89er manager, was in very good spirits when I talked to him before the game. 89ers lead the series, of course, 2-1.
This one dying in short left, and it drops for a hit. Connor plays it back. So a leadoff single for the Niners. Sagmon at first base.
Here it is again on the replay. Little blooper, good pitch by Moore. He got in on him, and Sagmon fights it off. Wilson back. It's perfectly placed between Wilson and Connor.
Howard, haven't you seen during the year that most guys don't get real good swings at Marcus Moore because his ball moves quite a bit, and he either hurts himself with the walks or he pitches a very fine baseball game?
Well, that's true, Joe. He spots his fastball when he's pitching well. He's in and out effectively, and that's his key. And the interesting thing about him is his velocity sometimes is very good and other times is not. They want him to be more aggressive. That's one thing that Grant Jackson has worked with him on, and be consistently overpowering, which he can be at times.
1 ball, no strikes, and nobody out. Top of the 4th, we have no score.
Greg Biagini told me he'd bring back Jose Alvaro tomorrow on 3 days rest if in fact a game number 5 is necessary.
And he would oppose Travis Buckley, correct?
Right. Buckley would have 4 days rest.
What about Pappas, Howard? What about the series and the kind of production he's produced not only here but during the postseason?
He's been the MVP of the series, I feel, to this point. In fact, they were tabulating the ballots yesterday in the 7th inning with Oklahoma City leading, and he had my vote. He's had a great series, 5 for 12 and some very big hits.
Count even up, 1-1. Moore eyeing Sagmon at first base.
Yesterday, the Indians took the 89ers rather took a 3-1 lead in the 7th inning. Steve Gibraltar drew a leadoff walk. The Indians did not score, but there were a couple of very close pitches to him, and Mo Sanford, the pitcher, got all upset at Benny Walton, the plate umpire. And just to conclude that point, Greg Biagini felt that was a big key in the ball game because he said it got the crowd back into the game, and that helped the Indians.
I know Sanford pitched for the Reds. Did he ever cross paths with any of the Indians or stop in Indianapolis?
Yes, he played. He didn't pitch for Indianapolis, but he pitched for Dave Miley. When Sanford was in the Reds chain in the early 90s, Cincinnati was working with Nashville and Indianapolis was working with Montreal, and then Mo was taken in the expansion draft. And then in 1993, the first year of the expansion, Colorado Rockies and Florida Marlins, the Indians resumed the working agreement with the Reds.
And that's ball 4 to Pappas. So with nobody out, the first 2 have reached. Walk number 5 for Marcus Moore.
I don't know how much longer Marcus is going to get away with this.
The 89ers have already left 5 runners on base through the first 3 innings.
Oh, Grant's going to try to settle him down again, Joe.
Well, they got somebody in the pen, just got up throwing, and I think he's going to give him a little time. I can't see who that is. But Marcus Moore, I mean, we talked in the opening, Howard, about how if the 89ers could get to Marcus Moore early, he gives up a lot of walks and he puts himself in some trouble. And it'll be interesting to see here what the 89ers do with nobody out. Are they going to bunt across? Are they going to? The first time they had opportunities, they went bunt and run, which was an interesting play.
That's who we have warming up down in the Indians bullpen.
Todd Edler, who spent the year in A-ball, as if Dave Miley has to go to the bullpen early, he'll bring in Edler. I'm sure he's still hoping that Moore can settle down. Well, as we mentioned, and you just mentioned, Joe, the 89ers have had other rallies, but this is the first time in the game they have put 2 on with nobody out. And it's a very interesting decision Greg Biagini has, because Benji Gill is a good hitter, whether or not to put the bunt on. As Manny Estrada, weaker hitter, up next. He may let him swing away, although Edie at third thinks he'll be bunting.
And he pops it up. Indians don't appear to have a play, and it pops into the seats, trickles down to the dugout.
A little thing like getting a bunt down is so important. You spend some time in the minor leagues with Oakland, and that's something they really stress, I would think.
Fundamentals is a key, and especially in situations like this, you've got to get this bunt down. You've got to advance runners and give other guys opportunities to score. You're not going to get too many of these chances, and it'll be interesting. Maybe the bunt's coming off, or the Indians' defense is awfully spread out throughout the infield, and both corners are charging pretty hard.
Are you a good bunter, Joe?
I could bunt because I couldn't hit. That's why I'm here.
Pitch down and in.
Actually, I thought bunting was easy, and I think if you just make up your mind that you're going to sacrifice and not make the perfect bunt, just get it down, get it in play, and make them make the play. More likely or not, you're going to get a sacrifice because they're going to take an out.
Many players over the years have told me anybody can become a good bunter. You just have to work on it.
Count even 1-1 on Benji Gill. Squares again and fails again.
Well, he didn't get it down, and I would think now with 2 strikes they take it off.
You know, I think we go back to a little bit of bunting too. Is guys don't bunt at strikes. I mean, that pitch was out of the strike zone, and I think the first one that he fouled off wasn't a strike. It was up, and you got to bunt strikes. I mean, you got to still make the pitcher throw strikes in this situation.
You need loose hands to be a good bunter.
Yep, kills the ball.
Bring it back to this one.
2 runners on in a scoreless game. This one fouled back and away.
Well, he swung away. Belk at first, still was in. So was Edie at third. He didn't look too good in laying down the first 2 bunts, so I would think they would let him swing away again. Benji Gill, of course, was the Texas Rangers starting shortstop, then had the back surgery.
Pitch down. Howard, I caught some of your commentary last night with Zach Moan in his key home run. He had decided that when the corners were in, he felt like perhaps it was best to swing away, and the result was a home run, key in game 2.
Well, you're right. He was talking about bunting to lead off the inning, but as you said, they played him in, so he swung away and hit the home run that won the game.
Zach Moan now at second base. This one line foul down the left field line.
So anyway, Benji Gill was the Rangers starting shortstop. Johnny Oates, the Texas manager, said when Benji Gill comes back from the surgery, he will be our starting shortstop. But Kevin Elster played so well that Johnny Oates was forced to change his thinking. Elster played very well both at the plate and in the field.
2-2, nobody out and 2 on, and Gill swings through it. Can Marcus Moore avoid trouble again? That's strikeout number 3.
Oh, that's a mighty big one.
He just threw a pretty good hard fastball that rode in on Gill, and Gill just swung over it, and that's a bad out. That's a bad at bat. I mean, there's a situation he's got to get runners across. Marcus Moore's 1 ground ball away from getting out of this inning, once again escaping some trouble.
Estrada, who was 1 for 5 last night, will try his luck 0 for 1 tonight. Ground out to shortstop.
Now that last pitch, this pitch to Estrada, was a very good pitch over the outside corner at the knees. So 1 down and 2 on, and quickly 0-2 to Estrada.
Marcus Moore seems to be a lot more effective when his ball is down. It really moves, and he seems to get in a little troubles when his ball gets up and kind of rides away from left-handers and into right-handers, but it always seems to get up and a little bit out of the strike zone. If guys will be patient, they can get some walks off of him.
Well, you're right, Joe. I think the vast majority of pitchers are that way, too, more effective when they keep the ball down. You get an occasional pitcher like Jim Palmer who pitched up, but most pitchers to be effective have to keep the ball down. What made Tom Seaver so great over the years is he had movement and his stuff was consistently around the kneecaps.
Zach Moen at second, Pappas at first. The 0-2 grounded weakly. Moore, though, can't make the play. And the bases are loaded with just one out.
Well, that really hurts. It would have been an easier play for Steve Eady coming into the ball, but nevertheless, Moore should have made that play. Here it is again. The ball hit to the third base side of the mound. Now, Marcus's momentum is the other way, but he should be able to come up with it. It's not moving hard at all there. He still might have a chance now, but he doesn't pick it up the second time.
No, I agree with you, Howard. I think that's a play that's got to be made, and he gets an error, but situation where you got to get an out in that situation. You know, this would be second and third, 2 outs, and I think he was thinking about where to go before he fielded the ball there.
So the base is loaded with 1 down. It's back to the top of the order for Brian Thomas, who is 0 for 1 with a walk. Count even at 1-1.
Well, Marcus Moore really has been living dangerously. The 89ers stranded 5 men in the first 3 innings, and they have loaded the bases again on a bloop hit, a walk, and an error.
They've still yet to hit the ball hard and have had many base runners. That's the way Marcus Moore's been pitching. He either walks guys or he seems to come up with some big pitches at key key times at bats.
That just missed.
That was very close, and that was a big pitch. Well, the 89ers only have 2 hits, a bloop hit and an infield hit, but Moore's walked 5.
Moore's on track to escape once again. So with 2 outs now, the bases remain loaded. Thomas, justifiably so, strikes out, almost too close to take on the previous pitch.
There it is again. Marcus comes right after him, and he swings right through it. Right through it. And when you use that expression, through it, it usually means under the ball, but it's an old baseball expression when you get a fastball and you have a good swing at it and miss it.
I'll say this about Marcus Moore. He does bear it down when he has to. He seems to get ahead of hitters when he gets in trouble.
The only thing is, when you're at the major league level, you may not be able to get out of trouble as easily as he's gotten out of it so far. And of course, this is not the same Oklahoma City team. The Indians aren't the same team that they had earlier in the year. Plenty of the good hitters are now in the big leagues.
Looking live at the first 2 runs of the ball game and a 2-0 lead for the Oklahoma City 89ers over the Indianapolis Indians. This is game 4, best of 5. The Indians trail 2 games to 1. We'd like to welcome our audience watching now on NDTV in Indianapolis. An RBI single, 2 RBI actually, for John Shave to center field. 2-0 and 2 runners on with 2 outs here in the bottom half, or top rather, of the 4th inning. I'm Ron Sexton, joined by Joe Hillman and Howard Kelman, the radio voice of the Indianapolis Indians. Marcus Moore has avoided all kinds of trouble, stranding runners through the first few innings of this ball game, but with 2 outs, he's bitten here in the 4th.
Well, you can only get away with it for so long, Ron, and they finally caught up to him. And John Shea with a big hit, and the Indians are forced to come from behind again, and Marcus better bear down here or he may not be in the game much longer.
Ortiz at the plate. Luis Ortiz is 0 for 1 with a walk tonight, flying softly to shortstop. Batting .290 in the postseason for Oklahoma City, but 0 for 4 last night.
The 89ers left the bases loaded in the 2nd. They left 2 men on in the 3rd. They had 2 on, nobody out, and of course this run will be unearned due to an error committed by Marcus Moore.
The 0-2 pitch, slapped away foul and out of play. Marcus Moore is 0-1 in the postseason. That one start against Buffalo, going 4 innings. His ERA in the postseason 6.75. During the regular season, 4-7 and 15 starts, an ERA of 3.45.
He finished up in a very strong manner during the regular season, but as you mentioned, he didn't pitch well in that game in Buffalo. He was lifted after 4 innings.
And the 0-2 offering fouled straight back. Ortiz has had a strong series.
He is a very good hitter. There's no question about that. He beat the Indians earlier this year in Oklahoma City a couple of times with home runs. 89er manager Greg Biagini was telling me how proud he is of his ball club. They've gotten a lot of timely hits the last couple of months.
He protects and sends one out of play once again. He had 14 home runs during the regular season, hit .317.
Now, after the Indians won the exciting game last night, I went down to the clubhouse to talk to Dave Miley, and he said that was the greatest win of his managerial career. And he's in his 7th year managing. He's been in the playoffs every year, but the inspiring performance the Indians put on, down by 2 and 4 in the 8th to win it, was great.
Ortiz pops this one up, and once again it's out of play. Well, it has to be so satisfying for him, given the fact with all the late call-ups, and obviously you're well aware of how many fans thought this team was, well, against all odds coming into the postseason with all the call-ups by the Reds, and the young guys who have replaced them have responded.
Well, that's right, Ron, and that was the rally last night. Tacomba Connor, Steve Eady, Marlon Allen, all with big hits in the 4-run 8th.
This one into short left, but Wilson stabs to win the inning. However, 2 runs, the 89ers threaten and this time strike. After 3.5, Niners on top 2-0. You're watching Indianapolis Indians baseball on NDTV. And Jackets for tonight's game 4. Best of 5. The Indians trail 2-1 and trail on tonight's board 2-0. I'm Ron Sexton, joined by Howard Kellman, the radio voice of the Indians, and Joe Hillman up here in the booth. This is a double cast of sorts. You've heard about that infamous triple cast, which failed so miserably a few years ago. Let's hope that this double cast to Oklahoma City has a bit better response after tonight's game. But we do welcome our audience from Oklahoma City and, of course, those following the Indians on NDTV.
Well, Oklahoma City people are here, led by general manager Sims Himes, and they're looking forward to their new ballpark, which is, they've already broken ground, and they should be in there opening day 1998. I should point out that there are plenty of good tickets available if the Indians win tonight for game number 5, which would start at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Now, we normally start Sunday games here at 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. The Indians want to accommodate all the Colts fans because the Colts are on TV at 3 o'clock, so we're waiting till 7 o'clock to start tomorrow.
Frank Kremlis struck out his first time up. Frank 3 for 4 last night, though, facing Steve Dreyer, right-hander, tonight in his first playoff start for Oklahoma City.
I know what Oklahoma City's thinking with the 2-0 lead. They don't want to play tomorrow night. They want to wrap it up tonight.
Sends one into shallow right. Derek Lee has already made one nice play, but this time he'll relinquish to second baseman John Shave going out. So with one away, we'll see Tim Belk for the Indians. Joe and I discussed off the top how the Indians would really like to see more from Tim Belk in terms of production. Not only that cleanup hole, which has not been cleaning up, but also the 3-hole.
Well, absolutely, Ron. And not only Belk, Dan Howard and Steve Gibraltar as well. Howard is 1 for 11, Gibraltar 0 for 12 in this series.
Tim Belk flied to center his first time up. Dreyer, we're told, is not a hard thrower. Hails from Ames, Iowa, like Fred Hoiberg of the Indiana Pacers, and still resides in Ames. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 away.
There was a good pitch to hit there, and Tim took it with a 1-0 count. You know you're going to get a fastball.
Steve Dwyer may not throw hard, but he seems to have a little sneaky fastball. It seems he sets up his fastball with his off-speed pitches, and tonight he's throwing them all for strikes, which has definitely put Indians hitters a little bit back on their heels, because a lot of guys seem to be looking off-speed and taking fastballs right down the middle of the plate.
Well, you're right, Joe, and you can tell in his delivery that he's a little sneaky fast. He has the nice fluid movement, and the pitchers who are like that tend to be sneaky fast. The Indians had one like that earlier this year, who's now with Cincinnati, Giovanni Carrera.
Yeah, I was very impressed with him when we did the game down in Louisville, how effective he was and how good he threw the ball.
Count holds 2-2. There's a look at Indians manager Dave Miley.
He's looking for me in the radio booth now.
Well, you've switched booths.
Yeah, he's looking for me there because he wants to get the credit. Now he's tipping his cap for coming up with it.
It was a clean play.
I get out the handkerchief when he doesn't come up with the ball.
He probably doesn't look at you when that happens.
No.
He probably turns around.
When he boots him.
See, there was a pitch right there where we talk about Dreyer. Boy, he really rode that in on Belk, and almost a pitch where it looks like Belk is looking off speed and adjust into a fastball, which sometimes hitters will do in certain situations. You look for the pitcher's strength, and if it's off speed, then you look off speed and adjust the fastball, but he's sneaky enough to get it by you.
I think 2-2, he might have been thinking breaking ball. You're right.
Sure.
And the 2-2 again. This time Belk goes the other way. This should go for extra bases. At least two. And the Indians have their second hit of the ball game, down 2-0 here in the bottom of the fourth. But a one-out double by Tim Belk.
There it is again. Watch him go right with this pitch. Go into the ball well and just stroke it the other way. Good job of hitting by Tim Belk, who doesn't emphasize his top hand, and hitters like that tend not to pull as much. He lets go of the bat with his top hand. Ken Griffey Sr. used to hit that way.
So a runner in scoring position for this troubled cleanup spot for the Indians. Coming in tonight, only 5 for 29. No runs batted in from the cleanup spot. Dan Howitt doing the honors tonight. 0 for 3 last night. And a fly ball to center his first time up.
Well, Ron, we talked at the opening about timely hitting for the Indians, and here's a situation, 2 outs or 1 out, man on second. Somebody's got to break through for the Indians to kind of get a rally going, as they did in the 8th and exploded for 4 last night.
That's true. They really need at least 1 run in this inning. You'd like to have a runner at second, 1 out, and Howitt and Gibraltar coming up.
No balls and 1 strike. Count now 1-1.
Howitt hit the last home run off Nolan Ryan.
I met Dan Howitt. He was with the Oakland A's when I was with the Oakland A's. We played instructionally together, and always a guy that had good home run power. And you know, he's a guy in this lineup now that can carry a load if he can get a hot bat going.
Count 1-2, and tonight Howitt with double duty, usually the designated hitter for the Indians. Tonight gets a start in right field. Mike Kelly out with the sore back. Did he injure it on the double that was played last night?
Yes, he hurt it going for the ball in the second inning. The double by Derek Lee, a play he could have made. He got completely turned around, twisted his back. It is unlikely that he'll play the remainder of the series.
One and two with 1 out and a runner on. Broken bat. Easy pop up to the shortstop, Benji Gills, so 2 away.
You keep thinking game after game that finally Howitt's going to come alive, and he still hasn't.
Howard has struggled at times, as you'll see here, getting sawed off. The same is also true for Steve Gibraltar. Howard certainly below his standards.
That was a very good pitch by Dreyer. He got in on Howitt, and the same thing with Gibraltar. He's now 0 for 12 in this series. He had a terrific year last year, but it hasn't been the same for him in 1996.
Went down swinging his first time up. Nothing more precious in the postseason than a 2-out hit.
I think the Indians really missed their hitting coach, Jim Thripp. He's been away since August the 1st on some personal business. His wife underwent surgery, and I think they do miss him.
I gotta believe this is a situation where Dreyer may not throw Gibraltar a strike. I think with the rookie Edion on deck. Gibraltar's going to have to go after a pitcher. I think Dreyer's smart enough to be throwing the ball away and out of the strike zone to Gibraltar.
Well, I would think they'd want to get him out and go after him because he's having trouble hitting. He's not swinging the bat well. He's 0 for 12 in the series, but they may, as you say, make him chase a pitch out of the strike zone because he's been swinging at pitches that aren't strikes.
Well, that's exactly true. And we mentioned that his first time up. He seems to be pulling off of the ball with his left shoulder and coming out. Any off-speed pitches, he seems to just be hitting the ground balls as shorter to third instead of going the other way like Belk did.
It's one of the most common mistakes by hitters, pulling off the ball. Starts with their head, then their left shoulder follows.
Count now 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 away. Belk doubled after 1 out in this inning. Since, though, a pop out to short. And Gibraltar with the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes here in the postseason, coming in tonight hitting just 120 and 0 for 3 last night.
One of the things that hitting coaches emphasize is trusting your hands, and if you do that, you don't pull off the ball as much. Trust your stuff as a pitcher, trust your hands as a hitter.
Howard, you see more Gibraltar night in, night out. Didn't last year, I remember he used all fields last year when he hit. He hit some home runs the opposite way, and I believe this year in the games that we've done and we've seen on TV, he almost looks like he's trying to hit home runs.
I think he's trying too hard, which is among the most common mistakes that are made. You're pressing.
Indians
slumps are about.
Trail by 2. And for the second time, Steve Gibraltar tonight goes down swinging. Now 6 strikeouts for Steve Dreyer. Most impressive as Oklahoma City leads by 2 after 4 from Victory Field in Indianapolis.
1996 was an incredible 89ers baseball season. 89ers are in the playoffs, and the excitement will continue in 1997 as the 89ers play their final season at All Sports Stadium.
2-run home run for Lee Stevens.
Celebrate the 89ers glory days and be a part of the exciting future of 89er baseball at the new ballpark in Bricktown.
Yes, and Rick Kelly has thrown a perfect game.
For season tickets, skyboxes, and group outings, call 946-8989.
Lights up your life like OG&E electricity.
Hey, Mom!
Oh, honey.
So many of life's little rewards are made possible with OG&E electricity.
This is game 4, best of 5. The Indians trailing 2-0 as we advance to inning number 5. And over 8,400 on hand here at Victory Field last night. Looks like a pretty healthy crowd here tonight for game 4. And a new pitcher for the Indianapolis Indians. A left-hander coming on for the Tribe. Marcus Moore going the first 4 innings for Indianapolis. But now Mr. Doyle, the lefty, will take over.
Well, he spent the year at Double-A, Chattanooga, and he's not a hard thrower at all. But one of these players who was called up at the very end of the regular season. When Derek Lilliquist got called up a day or 2 later, Doyle is a left-hander, thrust into the role that he's been in this series, coming in to get a left-hand hitter out. And 2 of the 3 hitters in the inning bat left-handed, so that's why he's in there.
Derek Lee, the cleanup hitter for Oklahoma City, will lead things off. Slide to left, slide to right. Marcus Moore tonight with the night complete through 94 pitches, 57 of which were strikes, 39 balls.
Doyle faced Derek Lee in Oklahoma City in game 2 and got him to ground to second in the 8th inning.
Curve hangs high from Doyle. 1 ball and 1 strike to Derek Lee,
who is a very good hitter. He's dangerous. He hit a home run last night off the left-hander, Tim Fortuno.
Well, the Indians were forced to come back last night. They face the same scenario tonight, down 2-0 here in the 5th. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Many of the players cited the crowd and the support that they received from the loyal fans here at Victory Field last night.
Well, that's right, Ron. We were talking about that earlier, that point with Greg Biagini. who said that the crowd got back in the game when Gibraltar walked in the 7th inning. But I'll tell you, this is a tough park in which to come from behind because it is a pitcher's ballpark. You don't see that many big innings. And as we said, the Indians, to their credit, bounced back last night, but it's tough to do night after night.
Count runs full now to Derek Lee, so Marcus Moore's night is done. 4 innings pitched, 2 runs, 3 hits, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts and 5 walks. Here's a drive into right. Howitt going back, still chasing at the wall, can't get it, and the ball remains in play. Derek Lee hits second base and will hold up right there.
He may be hurt out there. He had an opportunity to go back farther, but wasn't back there until the last instant.
Yeah, Howard, that's a play where he's got to get to the wall. There he is. He banged into the wall. Here's a replay, and this ball's hit pretty well. I mean, he got under it just a tad, but that shows you Lee's power. I mean, he drove this ball 360 way up in the air, and Howard's just kind of trailing this. He's got to get back to the wall first and then make the play. Well, that ball hit the very top of the wall and came back. I mean, that would have been an outstanding catch by Howard if he would have made that.
Drifting with the ball again, it fooled me. I felt as if he really had a bead on the play and is about to circle under. Now Dave Miley is going to trot out, enjoy the rest of the crew. There's Steve Gibraltar, the first one on the scene, and Trainer making his way out now. Dan Howard again is starting in right field tonight because Mike Kelly injured his back. Howard normally the designated hitter.
Now they're looking at his neck. Back of his head. We'll look at it again. Doesn't have a good angle on it at all. That's what I think he hit his head. The ball didn't hit him, but he hit his head against the wall.
That ball just seemed to carry and carry and carry. And Howard, you mentioned that this is definitely a pitcher's park. When I first came to Victory Field, I thought this was going to be a hitter's park with all the room in the outfield to hit balls in the gap and not a lot of foul territory. But you've seen a lot of games here. Why does it seem to be a pitcher's park?
Well, for one, the dimensions are pretty big to the alleys. But the other thing, which we didn't know, it was interesting to come out here the first night, Joe. In fact, it was against Oklahoma City, July 11th. During batting practice, the balls were just carrying like anything and jumping off hitters' bats. But when the game started, it got a little later, the ball doesn't carry as well in the evening here. And the other thing, some hitters say they can't see the ball well till it gets dark because of the twilight in the background. There isn't a huge backdrop in center field. Just have those trees out there.
How it recuperates.
There's John Young, the Indians trainer, just signed a new 3-year contract.
Tom Doyle took some time to throw a few pitches. Nobody out. Top of the 5th. Derek Lee had just doubled. He's at second base. Rickard Fanata at the plate. 0 for 1. Was walked earlier. Now how are they going to score this?
Well, Bell bobbled the ball. I would think it'd be a sacrifice and an error. Kremlis was a little late getting over there. Cover first base. Here it is again. It is a good bunt. Now watch Bell come in and just bobble the ball. It's the second baseman over there, and the pitcher was covering too, but it's the second baseman's responsibility to cover. That is a sacrifice and an error charge to Bell. And the Indians really have their work cut out.
That was good fundamental baseball there. He got the bunt down where they didn't get it down the last inning. And
here's a shot. They'll test Howitt in right. He gets back to make the play, but Lee will tag and score, and it's 3-0 Oklahoma City here in the 5th inning.
Well, we'll see what the Indians have in them to come from behind again. But as you said, Ron, now it's 3-0. Here it is again. There is no way that Howitt has a play at all. The ball is hit very well on a line by Mark Sagmoon. And Howitt just comes up throwing to second base. Wouldn't you know they hit the next ball to him after he was shaken up? That's the way this game is sometimes.
Well, that's good. That's good hitting there by Sagmone. He goes after pitch, is aggressive, has the opportunity to drive in a run, and goes after that first pitch and gets it in the outfield, which is all he had to do.
It is good situation hitting, right? Yes. Man on third, nobody out. You like a sacrifice fly, and they got just that. And Dave Miley will make another pitching change.
So Tom Doyle, the left-hander, has a quick night here at Victory Field in Game 4. Sagmone, by the way, had a huge homer, pivotal in Game 2, so he's produced on a number of occasions in this series, and now we see a youngster for the Indians taking over. He was warming up earlier in this game. This is Todd Etler.
Right, Todd Etler, who is not a hard thrower, throws a fastball, curve, slider, and change. The changeup is a very big pitch for him. You know, Joe, one thing you don't see the good arms that you used to have years ago. There are some of them, of course, but years ago, many more pitchers threw harder than they do now.
Yeah, I think that's what surprised a lot of people that ask me questions about guys that throw. There's not a lot of guys in the major leagues that throw over 90 miles an hour, and the tour used to be where you had live arms. And what I wonder is that because of expansion and so fewer teams have the pitching that guys are throwing more innings, or?
I don't think kids play catch as much when they're young. I think that's a big reason for it.
And I think baseball is a sport that's kind of been weeded out in the younger ages. I think with soccer that is become a big sport at young age. And then the other thing is I can't believe that younger kids start at 4 or 5 years old playing baseball. I didn't start playing baseball until I was 8, 9. I think kids maybe at that young age get a little bored with it and get into other things. But I used to play catch all the time. I used to, go out and throw, play catch with your dad. And I think that's a good point you bring up. You don't acquire the arm strength from throwing and stretching it out. It is interesting on how few guys really have that live fastball. Now, and if you do, you're normally up.
And the only way to acquire that arm strength is to constantly throw the ball when you're young. And that's not throwing breaking pitches at all, just playing catch and throwing and throwing.
So the fifth continues for the Indians' second relief pitcher in this game, Todd Etler. Tom Doyle goes just to third. 1 run on 1 hit, no walks and no strikeouts. Top of 5, 3-0 Oklahoma City. Etler inherits a runner on first. And he'll check Pineda now. 1 out here in the 5th.
The 2 runs the 89ers scored in the 4th were unearned. Now, even though there's an error in this inning, this first run is an earned run.
Eric Pappas at the plate, still awaiting the first pitch from Todd Etler in this game. Pappas has had plenty of damage in this series against the Indianapolis Indians, hitting .364 in the postseason, 2 for 4 last night. Scored a couple of runs, and contrast that with his regular season batting average of .206. Etler starts him off with a strike.
Well, the Indians really can't afford to fall behind any further. It's already 3-0.
Pappas swings through that pitch.
Yeah, and the way Danny Patterson has been pitching as of late, I don't know if he's available tonight. You get ahead and get it into the late innings. He's been awful strong, even though the Indians did score a run against him in Game 2. He's been tough, and he's tough on any hitters because he's got a live arm.
Yeah, that's right, Joe, and he is available. He saved both Games 1 and 2, hit with a line drive up just above his kneecap in Game 2, but he is available. Could have been used last night, too.
Just missing inside.
It's interesting. I like watching Pappas hit because he reminds me a lot of Kamak. Neither one of them worry about getting 2 strikes on them, and they seem to just be patient and never swing at bad pitches, and they're good 2-strike hitters, and that's what Pappas has done.
But Nida going at first. Kamak's throw down appears in time, and it is.
Very good throw by Kamak. Very strong, accurate throw to Kremlis covering, and it's 2-4 to catch Pineda. Watch this throw. Here comes the pitch. Watch Kamak's throw with the runner going. The runner will slide right into it. Perfectly thrown.
Not a real good jump there by Pineda.
Another angle. Joe has to come up. There's Kremlis, and as you said, Finida did not get a good jump at all and is out easily.
That was his first attempt of a stolen base here in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Eric Pappas facing a 2-2 count. Nobody on now with 2 outs. Here in the top of the 5th, they've scored once already. This to straightaway center. Gibraltar coming on. It's going to drop. Kremlis going out. There was no one at second. Now Brandon Wilson sneaks in to cover the bag. Make that Steve Eady rather.
Here it is again, a little bloop hit, perfectly placed. Gibraltar you can see in your picture, but he can't quite get there.
Well, how big was the caught stolen now? I mean, that's a run if Kamak doesn't throw the runner out there. So big play by Kamak really to save a run this inning.
Finida had stolen 14 bases during the regular season, caught 9 times. They're facing Benji Gill now. Benji's had an infield hit, struck out his last time up.
Was broadcasting a game a few years ago. Benji was playing, and Bobby Jones, who then was the Oklahoma City manager, this was in '94, said, "I'm trying to convince Benji not to try to hit home runs and try for home runs."
This one slapped to Eady, and this should be an error. Earlier he had bobbled a ball. They had issued a hit, making his first AAA start tonight. That one with a bit more on it, but I'm certain if you ask him, he'd probably say he should have made that play.
Yeah, it's a routine ground ball to third base. Here it is again, bouncing ball. He just doesn't come up on it. That is an error. The Indians' second error of the inning and third error of the game. Anyway, so Bobby Jones said he's trying to get Benji Gill to not to try to hit home runs. The next pitch, Benji Gill hit a home run over the center field wall.
Estrada sends one into the gap. Left center field. Gibraltar back turned toward the plate. This one off the base of the wall and hops over. Actually off the warning track. Didn't hit the wall. Hops over. Ground rule double. 1 run scores. Pappas, I believe, will he be issued to go back to third base? Alan?
Yes. Here it is again. And he really drives the ball. Pitch right down the middle. And Estrada drives it.
Hey, that runner has to go back to third. This is a ground rule double. There's no interpretation here of whether he was going to score. This is a break for the Indians.
Benji Gill goes back to third.
Benji Gill would have scored.
Right.
He definitely would have scored on that play, and that's a good break for the Indians. But there is no interpretation. I mean, there's no judgment there by the umpire. Ground rule double, runners advance 2 bases only.
I have no idea what he was saying because, as you said, he has to go back. But that's another run for Oklahoma City. You can't expect to give a club 5 outs. The Indians have committed 2 errors in the inning and expect to get out of it without a run.
Well, especially on the one play when the guy was sacrificing and giving himself up. He was giving himself an out.
Goes back to the top with the DH Brian Thomas, who has been relatively quiet. Unlike his peers in the rest of the order tonight, 0 for 2 with the walk. Hitting just 125 coming in here in the postseason for Oklahoma City. They lead now 4-0 in the 5th. He fouls this one back. Now 0-2 to Thomas.
So a base hit here could be a knockout punch for the 89ers. 4 runs is going to be tough for the Indians, but 6 would definitely be a huge battle for them with the way their lineup has been hitting the ball. They just have not been able to get a lot of runs.
And that last run is unearned.
Thomas fouls this one back. Marcus Moore started the night. Travels 94 pitches, 4 innings. Gives it up to Tom Doyle, who goes just to third. Now it's Todd Etler, the right-hander, on for Indianapolis. Two runners in scoring position, and this should get it done. Maybe not. Howard giving chase, and he does flag it down in right center field. Thought that one might find the gap, but Dan Howard, who was injured in the same inning, which seems like it was hours ago, comes through and make the final out. 4-zip Oklahoma City as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Deuces wild for Oklahoma City. They lead 4-0 despite the fact leaving 9 runners on base as we head on to the bottom half of inning number 5. The Tribe guilty of 2 on base. It's going to be Steve Eady making his first AAA start to lead things off against a very well-rested Steve Dreyer, who has thrown just 54 pitches, but certainly had a chance to catch his breath during a very lengthy top half of this 5th inning.
Well, that may not necessarily be good for him because it's a cool evening and your arm can stiffen up sometimes when you have a lengthy inning and you have to sit around.
And he hasn't thrown a lot of innings as of late. I mean, he's been coming out of the bullpen for the 89ers, and we mentioned at the start that I was going to be interested to see how far Steve Dreyer would go into this game. But, you know, 5 innings, he's only thrown 54 pitches. He's been very effective.
Had the 10th best earned run average in the American Association during the regular season. Here's Eady. Went down looking his first time up tonight. Starts off 0-1 against Dreyer.
And I believe it's Larry Lubers who is now warming up in the Tribe bullpen.
Sends this one into right field. Derek Lee, though, backtracking, and 1 down. Well, the Indians will tap into every source possible tonight, because if they lose, then Oklahoma City claims the championship in the American Association.
And that is, in fact, Larry Lubers.
Had one of those outings where he pitched well, but not well enough, just not enough support.
In his game in Oklahoma City, that's right, Ron, and he did make the mistake, the 2-run homer by Eric Pappas that beat him.
Veteran Joe Kamak steps in now. He's 0 for 3 last night. Had some big hits in this ballpark against Buffalo in the opening series here in the postseason. And this one with authority into left field. Hit number 4 for Indianapolis, but they trail by 4 runs. Over to start with 1 away here in the bottom half of the 5th.
It's tough to have big innings in this ballpark. You're better off trying to chip away. A little breaking ball, and Kamak pulls it nicely between third base and shortstop.
Yeah, just good two-strike hitting. And I mentioned the inning before, Kamak doesn't have a problem taking a couple pitches and then staying aggressive with 2 strikes, but yet not expanding the strike zone.
Well, most hitters, though, are not good 2-strike hitters.
Yeah, that's because they usually expand it and go after pitches.
The fear of striking out.
Actually, just the 3rd hit for the Tribe, and here's Brandon Wilson.
Nobody wants to get caught with the bat on his shoulder for strike 3. So you tend to swing at pitches, as you said, you ordinarily would not swing it.
Count 1-1 to Brandon Wilson, singled his first time up.
He's had a very good series, Ron. 4 hits and 11 and 10 at bats in the series. He's also played well at shortstop.
Fouls this one off, playing shortstop because Pokey Reese had an abbreviated season this year. Howard, is there any update on his condition?
Well, he underwent arthroscopic knee surgery, and I'm sure he'll be ready by spring training. I must say I was disappointed that Pokey left the club when he did. I was hoping he'd stick it out for the final week of the season when the Indians were engaged in a playoff battle. He was playing pretty well.
Dreyer missing outside, count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. But more than just that makeshift, other guys in different positions. As we mentioned, Howard in right tonight because of the injury last night to Mike Kelly, and as Howard mentioned a moment ago, he's probably done for the remainder of this year. This one sliced down the right field line, but foul.
If we have a game number 5 tomorrow, it'll be Jose Alvaro and Travis Buckley. Now, Alvaro is a sinker baller. He'd be coming back on 3 days rest. And quite often, sinker ballers are more effective on 3 days rest because when they're a little tired, their ball sinks more. And certainly, from the Indian standpoint, the thought of game number 5 is a pleasant one. The 89ers want to wrap it up here, and they can taste the champagne as they could last night.
Wilson turns on 1, but it's out of play. Yeah, I thought of game 5 very pleasant, especially given the fact that you trail 4-0 in game 4. But the Indians did manage to come back last night with a 4-run 8th. Interesting when you think back over the last 3 appearances in the postseason, how the Tribe has been so much more effective at home, 6-1 as opposed to 4-7, and that record on the road. Wilson going the other way. Shave turns it for 1, and no chance to double up Brandon Wilson. So 2 outs in the inning. Wilson remains at first.
Wilson goes with a pitch, and Shave moves to his left and gets the lead man there. They force Joe Kamak, and wisely Benji Gill holds on to the ball. He knows he has no chance at first base.
Ruben Santana with 2 away, and Brandon Wilson at first base. Santana line out to right field his first time up tonight.
Look at that stance Santana has. Very open. That's the way Roberto Mejia was standing earlier in the year, and Jim Thrift finally got him to stop that. And when he did, Mejia started to hit. It's very difficult to hit with that kind of stance.
As soon as he started to hit, they traded him.
Count even up, 1 ball and 1 strike, and those who do have the open stance oftentimes are more effective if they're a bit more upright. Jay Buhner, so to speak, has made a living with the open stance.
Some hitters say they see the ball better when they're open, and also they don't have to worry about their hips. Years ago, hitters didn't stand open, though.
That one at the belt. 1 ball, 2 strikes, but 2 outs here in the 5th, and just 1 runner on.
Tough to get out of the way of inside pitches when you're standing open.
Indians trail by 4. And the curveball gets Ruben Santana to end the Indianapolis 5th. We go to the 6th. 7 strikeouts for Steve Dreyer. Oklahoma City could wrap it up tonight with a win at Victory Field. Very festive evening at Victory Field. A bit festive for some, more so for some than others, I guess. Indianapolis trailing by 4. We go now to the top of the 6th inning.
Dizzy bat race. She fell down.
And she's fully recovered. We'll see Macho Mike after the end of this inning. Those are just $2 lawn seats here at Victory Field, the best bargain in all of baseball, some say.
I wouldn't mind seeing some balls hit out there. Take the clout to get one out there.
First, it's Todd Etler, though, facing this Oklahoma City lineup. And the second baseman, John Shave, will lead things off here in the top of the 6th.
Well, we went to a shot of the 89ers dugout after the bottom of the 5th. Joe, those players are fired up in there. They can taste it.
Well, Steve Dreyer's been in full control of this game. He's throwing the ball, throwing a lot of strikes, and the game's moved very quickly when the Indians have been at the plate. And I think it's easier to play defense when your pitcher's throwing strikes and working very quickly.
Shave drove into the first 2 of this game back in the 4th. Count even up, 1 ball and 1 strike. That coming after he struck out in his first at bat tonight. Sacrificed back in the 3rd, and then the big knock with 2 outs to give the Niners a 2-run lead.
You made a very good point there, Joe. Fielders are on their toes when pitchers are throwing strikes and working quickly.
Well, that was a negative maybe against Marcus Moore. I mean, even though he committed one of the errors, he did not get great support behind him. They had a couple balls that could have been outs, and they made a couple errors behind him, but he walked a lot of guys through a lot of pitches.
Well, that's true. You know, you check your earned run averages, and pitchers who allowed unearned runs and pitchers who walk more people allow more unearned runs.
Chris Jones, the first base umpire, saying he did not go. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes to Shave, leading off to 6th. And Etler's curve just misses outside.
Shave had a very big hit, a 2-run single to center with 2 down in the 4th that gave Oklahoma City the first 2 runs of the game.
The bender misses again. So a leadoff walk to John Shave.
Well, Well, Larry Lubers again warming up in the Tribe bullpen. I thought Dave Miley might bring in Lubers to start the inning here.
Next batter, number 9, first baseman Luis Ortiz.
So Shave holds up twice in the same at bat.
Well, Etler throwing him 2 breaking balls in a row, Ron. 2 and 2 and 3 and 2, which you usually don't see.
Yeah, let's go get that hitter with a fastball. Let's make him hit it out of this ballpark. I mean, you get the ball up in the air here. Like you said, it's going to take a monster blast to get one out of here.
Right, and he's not a home run hitter and was starting off the inning.
Ortiz sends one into the gap in left center, tracked down by Steve Gibraltar, and there's one away.
Next batter, 37, right fielder Derek Lee.
And here's Derek Lee, who sent Dan Howitt to the wall. In right. Big double, which sparked 2 more runs back in the 5th inning. Ron Sexton, Howard Kellman, and Joe Hillman live from Victory Field. This is Game 4, best-of-5 series. The Indians and Oklahoma City 89ers, and Todd Etler is on the mound, the second relief pitcher in this game for Indianapolis. Marcus Moore started, going 4 innings, but 94 pitches in those 4 innings. 6 walks. And after avoiding trouble in the first few innings, Oklahoma City caught him in the 4th. One ball and 2 strikes now to Derek Lee. Actually 5 walks for Marcus Moore on his official line for the night. Category that's plagued him at times this year. Count holds at 1-2.
Even though Marcus Moore didn't give up an earned run, he was in trouble all night. They left plenty of runners on, and the 89ers really had a chance the first 3 or 4 innings to get way out ahead, and they ended up coming back and scoring 2 more in the 5th. They've had chances to be way up in this game, though, Ron Howard.
Well, often when a man gets out of a couple of jams the way Moore does, his confidence level increases.
Runner going. Kamak's already caught one. Make that 2. Heading a roundabout way. 2 outs in the inning. Shave caught stealing.
I think it may have been a hit and run, as he tried to get back to first, did not have a good jump at all. There it is again. Kamak comes up throwing. Brandon Wilson, the shortstop, takes the throw. By this time, Shave already has retreated. Wilson's looking for him to slide in, and the throw to Belk is in time.
Meanwhile, Lee sends one into left. Connor circles under and makes the catch. And that quiets Oklahoma City's 6th. Top of the order, Connor will lead off the bottom half for the Indians. Indianapolis trailing by 4. Awaited appearance of Macho Mike. How could we best describe Macho Mike, Howard? You've seen him for some time.
Well, Macho Mike Sullivan tries to get the crowd excited. He does. He's been doing this about 3 or 4 years now, and it's become very popular. It's always done here in the middle of the 6th inning.
And through Macho Mike, the village people live on. The Indians trying to get something going here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. They trail 4-0. Perhaps Macho Mike might be the key to getting something going here in the 6th. He has fun, though, as you mentioned, an usher here at the ballpark. How did that ever get started? Any idea?
Just started a few years ago, one of these spontaneous things, and it caught on. It wasn't as if we sat down and planned this thing. It just, he did it one night and it caught on, and the rest is history.
Anyone else tries that, they get arrested. He does it, it's a hit. The fans love it. Well over 8,000 here last night. Still don't have the count on tonight's crowd at Victory Field. DeComba Connor settles in for Indianapolis. Struck out his first time up and a fielder's choice. 6-4 in his last at bat. Count evens up, 1 ball and 1 strike. Good look at Steve Dreyer, who has been very impressive in this game tonight. Connor fooled on the pitch.
So he's mixed things up, and that'll give youngsters some problems, Joe. He's thrown him the breaking ball. He changed speeds there, took something off. Connor's not used to seeing that in Class A ball.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that he had trouble with guys when he got ahead in the count. It looked like he just sat on dead fastball, and guys were throwing him some off-speed pitches for strikes, and then mixing it up like you mentioned, and he's just not used to that type of pitching yet.
Connor started the 4-run 8th, which was so key in last night's comeback win. Testing the line, but just foul.
I am impressed with Connor, though, the way he has been able to get some key hits. He's put the ball, bat on the ball, and he can run, and he's done his share of offense for the Indians. I don't think Manager Miley could ask any more of Connor coming up from single A.
I agree completely. He is a definite prospect. He has a chance to be a big leaguer. Chances are he'll play Double-A ball next year at Chattanooga.
And you're talking a big jump from single A to triple A, and he's done it quite well, I think, in the playoffs.
Estrada plays it at third. Connor, great speed, but not in time. 1 out. So from the youngster to the veteran, we'll see Frank Crimbless next.
Ground ball hit down to third, and Estrada gloves it. He's done a good job at third base for the 89ers. Very strong, accurate arm. 1 away.
Yeah, we used to say he's got a cannon over there because that ball was on a rope about 4 feet high all the way over.
Like Connor, Crimbless struck out swinging his first time up. And a pop out to second base. He was 3 for 4 last night, though.
Helps to have a great arm at third base. Although Brooks Robinson, who may have been the greatest third baseman of all time, did not have a strong arm. He just had a very quick release.
Yeah, he did. He got rid of the ball off quick. Nettles with the Yankees was the same way. He didn't have a great arm, but he just got rid of the ball so quick.
This one straight up. Mathis calls. Away with the mask and 2 outs.
We're talking about Brooks Robinson, and Indians pitching coach Grant Jackson was a teammate of Brooks Robinson's with Baltimore. His Orioles then in the early 70s when Grant Jackson was there. 1971 they had 4 20-game winners. That's a good question for our viewers. Name the 4 20-game winners in the Orioles in 1971. Now you two guys are too young to remember that. I realize that.
I think I can get 2, and that's about as far as my knowledge goes.
Well, one of them's in the Hall of Fame.
That's the one I know for a fact.
Does some commercials on the side now.
You know, we talked about Belk being able to get going offensively, but a lot of times in this series he's come up with nobody on base. He seems to always be hitting with 2 outs, and in situations like this, not necessarily down 4-0, he's not going to get a whole lot to hit. He's the one guy that can hurt an opposing pitcher with a long ball or driving the ball into the gap.
Well, he doubled to right field with 1 down in the 4th when the Indians were down by 2, and I thought they might get something going, but Howard and Gibraltar were retired.
No, he's not going to see a lot of pitches as long as the guys behind him aren't hitting the ball if he's got 2 outs.
Pitch missing low. How about Palmer, McNally, and Stone?
Palmer and McNally are correct.
Yeah, Stone's not one.
Jim Palmer, Dave McNally. Steve Stone won 20 for the Orioles, 25 in 1980 when he won the Cy Young. Let's see, I'll give you some hints. The other one was right-handed and one was left-handed.
One was Dobson, I know that.
Right, that's the third. And he had a career year because he wasn't that good a pitcher.
How about Mike Cuellar?
That's it. You got him. Those are the 4.
I got that from our statistician, though.
You're too honest. Bell sends one into shallow left and it drops. A 2-out single. Positive is precious for Indianapolis here in the 6th. They trail by 4 runs. And a 2-out single for Tim Bell.
Here it is again. He's hit on the hands, and he fights it off and bloops it into short left field. Benji Gill making an effort, but there's no way he can get to the baseball. See, when you see the bloop hits like that, and there's the protective guard that Belk has over his left cheekbone. Remember, he was hit with a pitch ball there last year. But when you see bloop hits, chances are the pitches are up. You rarely can bloop a hit on a pitch that's down.
Dan Howard takes a strike.
Dwyer made a good pitch there on that ball. He saw it Belk off pretty good, and you know, here again, Howard and Gibraltar have got to step up for the Indians. You mentioned that there's not going to be a lot of big innings. They got to chip away. They got to get 1 or 2 in an inning and hope that they get a chance at their last at bat and possibly a long ball here, or maybe a couple back-to-back hits by Gibraltar, and Howard can help out.
Sometimes players are able to fight their way out of slumps. Other times the slumps get deeper and deeper. It's very important to stay positive mentally when you're struggling.
I think that's the key. You just mentioned mentally. You got to stay and believe that, hey, you've gone 0 for 12, 0 for 13, but you got to believe the next time up you're going to get a hit and you might go 12 for 12. I mean, that's the way good hitters always think, that, hey, it's a new at-bat every time. Doesn't matter what I did last time. This is a new at-bat.
Howard sends one slicing. Benji Gill cannot handle it at shortstop, and with 2 outs, probably back-to-back base hits. I would imagine that's how they'll judge that one. You have Tim Belk with his second hit on the night at second base, and Howard with his first hit now at first base.
There it is again. The pitch right at Benji Gill, but it's on a difficult half hop, and he can't come up with it cleanly. That's a tough play, and it is ruled a base hit. Well, the Indians have an opportunity here. They're down 4-0 in the 6th inning. 2 on and 2 outs, and let's see if Gibraltar can come up with his first hit of this series.
Yeah, pretty good pitch again by Dwyer. He got in on Howard. He just kind of fought it off and hit it where they weren't. And you know, Gibraltar's a guy here we just mentioned. We got to get Indians need a couple runs here if they can get it, so they don't have to get a big inning to win this ball game. And you know, here we are in the 6th, and Dwyer's getting up to a little bit of a pitch count where he hasn't been pitching a lot lately. Is he starting to tire?
Well, Chris Nichting has begun warming up in the 89ers bullpen. There he is, a right-hander. Tom Brown, the 89er pitching coach, pays Dwyer a visit. Tell him, look, you've got a 4-run lead. Stay aggressive. Do what you keep doing. He's been very successful. Indians with 5 hits, but they haven't hit the ball hard at all.
No, Belk's one double down the right field line's about it, and he was going the opposite way. So, you know, back-to-back hits here, and neither one of them were hit very hard.
So Dwyer remains in the game, obviously, with 2 outs here in the inning. Late threat by the Indians, a trail by 4 here in the 6th. Dwyer working on a shutout. Steve Gibraltar, as Howard mentioned, slumping, especially in this series.
I want to make sure if he swings at a pitch, it's in the strike zone.
Steve hit .255 during the regular season. Started the year on the parent club with the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, he only spent a little time there and didn't get much playing time at all, and then found himself back in Indianapolis.
You know, it seems when you're going bad, you just don't swing at good hitters' pitches. I mean, there's a fastball 1-0 right down the middle, and he's just taking it.
And now behind in the count with 2 outs.
That time he took a little something off, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good pitch there. I mean, 1-1 takes a little change and gets him a little off balance, and not a hitter's pitch, but at 1-0 and you get a fastball, Gibraltar's got to be aggressive for it.
That's a good point, Joe, because you're not going to see that many good pitches to hit. 1-0, you know you're going to get a fastball, particularly when you're down by 4 runs.
Yeah, that's to talk about mental. I mean, you got to stay mentally into the game and stay aggressive hitting.
Gibraltar didn't go, but just to be safe, takes that hustle trot down to first base.
It's an interesting play because he was running down there in case the first base umpire said he swung, but Chris Jones said no. However, Dan Howard has to stay at first base anyway because he can't afford to be caught off if, in fact, he says he doesn't swing, which he said. So here's a very big pitch in the game upcoming. Full count.
And the 2 outs in Indianapolis, trailing by 4 in the bottom half, the 6th inning. All started after 2 outs in the inning. Belk with the second hit on the night, followed by a single by Dan Howard. And Gibraltar swings through. The struggle continues for Steve Gibraltar. After 6, it remains Oklahoma City 4, Indianapolis nothing. For 7-9, 5-4 at Victory Field.
Well, the Indians had a golden opportunity there to get back in the ball game, and they didn't cash in. And it appeared as if the pitch Gibraltar swung at was high.
Ball was up, and he swung right through and got underneath it. You know, he ended up swinging at pitches that weren't strikes, and he took a couple strikes that were pretty good hitters' pitches.
Rickard Fanida leads off this inning. Top of the 7th for Oklahoma City. So the line on Etler, 1 2/3, allowing 1 run. It was earned with 2 hits, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. Grounded sharply in a base hit into left field. Edie gave it his best shot on the dive, but leadoff runner aboard here in the 7th for the Niners.
Well, that's 5 straight innings the 89ers have had their leadoff batter on.
The pitch was down out of the strike zone. He pulls it between third and short. Edie going to his left, did not come up with it.
So Mark Sagmon will step in. And the big blast back in game 2 of this series in Oklahoma City. Luber starts him off with a strike. And 0-2 as Sagmon protects.
Lubers was a very big prospect at one time. When we first saw him in an Indians uniform in 1993, threw hard. Doesn't throw that hard anymore, relies on finesse now. He is a very good competitor.
Leadoff runner aboard with nobody out. Count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Eric Pappas is on deck. It's been very productive in this series against the Indians. This one right back through the middle, should be 2. The tag by Kremlis, and in time at first base.
See that deep Kremlis put on? He made believe he was flipping to second, and then he tagged Fanida. Very nice play by Kremlis. We'll look at it again. Sagmon grounds the ball, trying to pull a pitch away, and you're going to usually ground those to second base. Here's Kremlis coming in. Now watch the flip to second. He does that, and now he just tags out the base runner. Or else he might have stopped had he not flipped it there, or faked the flip.
So quickly 2 away, and here's Eric Pappas sending one into left field. Kana has it, and that ends the inning. DeComba Connor hauls it in. Still 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the 7th at Victory Field. Oklahoma City on top. Song, world renowned. Take me out to the ball game here at Victory Field. Oftentimes it sparks some big innings. Last night, the Indians had the big 4-run 8th inning in comeback fashion to extend this series to tonight's game 4, but trailing tonight 4-0 against Oklahoma City. And it's been the right-hander Steve Dreyer who has been been very impressive tonight. Not a hard thrower, but has had the Indianapolis lineup off balance. And it was a youngster who started it last night in DeComba Connor. Tonight, another youngster, Steve Eady, will lead off this bottom of the 7th.
Well, to his credit, Steve Dreyer has not walked anybody, and he has struck out 8.
Ron Sexton, Howard Kelman, the radio voice of the Indianapolis Indians, and Joe Hillman. Live from Victory Field. By the way, tonight's game is also being televised. This is a simulcast back to Oklahoma City. And as well here on NDTV. Eady with his first start on this level tonight. Known most of all coming in for the 2 doubles and was 2 for 2. That average no longer flawless, though. And for once, Dreyer is not ahead in the count.
Well, I think he did the right thing there, taking 2-0 when you're down by 4 runs.
It's now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Oklahoma City got 2 in the 4th and responded with 2 more in the 5th. Indianapolis held to just 5 hits in this game, and also the Indians have committed 3 errors tonight. This one back through the middle, a base hit for Steve Eady. His first hit on the night, and hit number 6 for Indianapolis.
Ron, this is the first time in the game Indianapolis has gotten its lead man aboard.
And from youngster to veteran, here's Joe Kamak. Began the night going down looking on strikes and then a base hit. He's 1 for 2. So Dreyer will go to the stretch. Keep a close eye on Steve Eady. Kamak's taken a couple of pitches tonight near the belt that I think he felt were somewhat high.
No, especially there's nothing wrong with taking the first pitch when you're down by 4 runs.
Rounds the left side. There's a base hit. So the first 2 have reached. There was action in Oklahoma City's bullpen last inning, and likewise this inning. So the Indians double up the fun with the leadoff runners reaching. Nobody out. They trail by 4. Eady and Kamak follow with back-to-back singles. Brandon Wilson is due up next. Brandon Wilson 1 for 3 last night, drove in a run. Coming in, hitting .296 in the postseason.
Well, this is a must situation for the Indians. They've got to score a couple runs this inning, and if not more, to get back in this ballgame. But they can't go out of this without any runs here at all, Howard.
Right, Joe, and I tell you, Brandon had the right idea there, trying to drop a bunt toward third base and getting on base.
Yeah, they need runners right now, and Wilson's smart enough to know that he's not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's going to try to find any way he can through a hit, walk, getting hit by a pitch to get on base here.
Well, the Indians with their first 2 men on, they squandered an opportunity last inning when they had 2 on and 2 out. They're down 4 runs.
And Estrada remains even with the bag at third base. Broken bat. This might be a tough play. And safe at first base. The first 3 have reached for Indianapolis. We'll have to have another look. The head first.
The first baseman the pitcher missed the base when he went over to cover.
Greg Biagini is furious with the first base umpire Jones as we look at it again. Here's Brandon Wilson with a late jump out of the box. Ortiz picks it up, flips. Did he hit the bag? I couldn't tell.
Our vantage point blocked by Wilson in the head first slide.
Look at Biagini. And he's hot. He's not going to stay out there too long, though, because he doesn't want to upset his pitcher's rhythm. His team is ahead in the game. So he's going to get his say in and then leave, because if he were to stay out there long, that could bother Steve Dreyer.
Howard, you had cited the point a few moments ago that in this ballpark it's often best to chip away in trying to accomplish the big inning as opposed to wait for the 3-run homer.
Well, the Indians have them loaded up with nobody out here. Ruben Santana the batter.
But before that, another trip to the mound. We see the night for Ruben Santana.
Indians still really aren't hitting the ball that hard off Steve Dreyer. Gotten a couple of breaks in the inning, a seeing eye hit, little number for a hit.
They've tried to test the rhythm of Driver a number of occasions here tonight, but really, even now with their 8th hit, it's obviously the best threat that they've had. But Dreyer has avoided trouble on each count.
Base hit here, and the Indians are right back in the ball game.
And again, no one out. Indianapolis down 4, bottom of the 7th. Steve Eady at third base led off the inning with a single to center. Kamak followed with 1 to left. And Brandon Wilson with an infield hit to load the bases. Santana down 0-1. Count evened up. He was 1 for 4 last night. Fouls this one off.
Well, Dreyer's got that good breaking ball, and that's how he's gotten Santana his first 2 times up, and just saw it in that last pitch, and now he's ahead of him 1-2. I would think he might throw him another breaking ball away.
Jams him this time. That ball stays fair. The throw in time for the force, but he dropped the baseball.
He didn't even have to tag him, and he dropped the ball. He had a force play.
What was Pappas thinking at that play? He's a veteran. He's got to know there that all he's got to do is step on the plate.
The force was in time. He reached for the tag. And the Indians are on the board. It's a 4-1 game. Still no outs, and the bases are loaded.
Here it is again. Now watch. They've got the force play. He's standing on the bag. He's out, but now he tries to tag him, and he drops the ball. What an incredible break for the Indians.
That's an interesting play there. Did he have it long enough to be considered the force is out?
No, but he tried to tag him, and once he drops the ball, I think the call is correct. Can't remember the last time I've seen a mistake like that. That's Pappas now. I think you're right, Joe, is asking Rick Roeder, saying, look, I had the ball, but he tried to tag him, and now we get a pinch runner. Trovin Valdez pinch running for Ruben Santana at first base, and that's the potential tying run.
Oh, that's just a bad mental play there by Pappas. He's got to know in that situation it's a force play, catch the ball, get out of the way. Big play for the Indians at that situation. They've had back-to-back plays where they haven't hit the ball past the pitcher's mound, and both guys have advanced and gotten on base.
And Dreyer stays in to face Tacomba Connor at the plate now. Connor is 0 for 3.
Well, that's got to be a fielder's choice E2.
Right.
Protects on the pitch, which nearly gets away.
Boy, a rally here would be demoralizing for the 89ers.
Of course, it would matter how big a rally it is.
Sure. Well, if they can get a couple more here, I mean, they've got opportunities to get this game even here. You're down 3 bases loaded, nobody out with the top of your order up.
Had a good pitch to hit there. 1-0 count, a fastball.
Connor would be tough to double up. Nearly left one out in his last at bat. Still no outs in this inning. But the Indians are on the board. Now 8 hits in this game. They've out-hit Oklahoma City, but keep in mind the Indians have also committed 3 errors in this game.
There's one where I think you got to take a look for the team there.
Reflexes, though.
That's true.
That's one of those things. It's easier to sit up here.
That's right. You never want to get hit, but.
Bases loaded for Indianapolis. They trail by 3, and that catches the corner. Count even at 2-2 to count the corner. Joe Kamak at third base. Brandon Wilson at second. Valdez at first. This one into left field, a base hit. 1 run's going to score. And they'll hold Brandon Wilson at third base with no one out. A wise decision.
Well, the youngster, Dacumber Connor, comes through again. Listen to this crowd at Victory Field.
Now, that's going to be all for Dwyer, I think.
Here it is again. He gets the bat head around, and he rips that ball into left field for a base hit.
And so we'll see Chris Nickting, who is still in the bullpen at this point. Obviously, the change is now complete, so Connor comes through. He had sparked the 8th inning last night in that 4-run 8th, but brought Indianapolis back. Now he's in the midst of a rally with no one out. The bases remain loaded. Indianapolis trailing Oklahoma City 4-2.
Well, Dave Miley, with nobody out, held Brandon Wilson, Joe. You like to score him, of course, but the ball got out to left field in a hurry, so he had to hold him. He did the right thing.
Yeah, I think so. That ball got out there, and the left fielder, Sagmo, got on the ball early. It was hit right at him, and his thought might be, hey, I've now definitely got an opportunity to have my RBI man, Belk, come to the plate.
We had mentioned the woes of the power slots in the Indianapolis lineup. The 3, the 4 hitters, they'll have a chance here to perhaps.
Well, Belk's definitely going to get a chance to hit unless there's a triple play. But, you know, I mean, you're in a situation there where even a fly ball and out, you know, somebody hits one to the right side here, you're going to score a run and move the runner to third with the tying run to third with 1 out.
That's just what I was thinking, Joe. If you can get these 2 runners moved up a base now, get another run and get that potential tying run to third, you're in good position to tie up the ball game. The Indians with 2 runs in. 5 consecutive men have reached base safely on 4 hits and an error.
You know, I know you hate to take the bat out of a guy's hands, but Kremlis laying down a bunt here might not be a bad play. I don't think it's a play that's going to go through Miley's head, but boy, he could do some. Maybe just look at it. But anything hit to the outfield, the other way or to center is going to advance some runners.
Nickting gets ready to face Frank Kremlis. The Niners continue to utilize that bullpen. They can sense the threat by Indianapolis, which has already produced 2 runs. But Oklahoma City remains on top by 2. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. The bases loaded and no one out. Indianapolis must win tonight to force the deciding Game 5 in this best-of-5 series.
Well, make him throw strikes. There's some pressure coming into pitch with the bases loaded, Joe.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to take to a strike. I think he's a smart enough player. He's been around long enough. He knows that this pitcher's got to come after him, whether he's got 1 strike or 2 strike. He does not want to face Belk with the bases loaded, nobody out.
And he hasn't even been close on the first 2 pitches.
His last outing at Omaha, he walked 2 in just 1 inning. 2 hits, 1 run, and that run was earned.
Just as we talked, Howard, I mean, 2-0, he takes 2 straight pitches and he goes after a 2-0 pitch. Yes, it was a strike, but yet he's going to come after you again the next time up. Make him throw you one.
Base hit should tie it up. A walk would bring Indianapolis within a single run and still no one out.
You take here, Howard?
Normally they let him swing 3-1.
He goes right side. They'll come to the plate, but the throw is in time. Pappas didn't think he had to tag anyone on that play. He was satisfied with the force. Indianapolis scored their first run in this inning on a similar play when Pappas had the force, but then elected to tag and had the ball knocked loose.
Here it is again. He hits it toward the end of the bat. And Ortiz makes an interesting play coming to the plate there. It was a very alert play. He was not playing in, but he saw he had a shot at Brandon Wilson. You got to give Luis Ortiz credit. That's a big play, a huge play for the 89ers.
Yeah, you're right. That surprised me that he came to the plate. I figured he'd try to turn two there, but that's a big out.
I don't think he would have been able to turn two.
No, I don't think so either.
And here's Tim Belk, who has 2 hits on the night, including a double, back in the 4th inning. But the only scoring for Indianapolis has occurred in this inning, the 7th. They put 2 runs across. The bases remain loaded with 1 away, and they trail by 2.
Here's Belk's chance. We mentioned that he hasn't really gotten a chance to hit with a lot of guys on base, and here's his opportunity. You know, I mean, there's a pitch where you got to take it. It's not anywhere that you can drive it, and he's going to be smart in this situation. He's going to get a pitch that he can drive and hit to the outfield somewhere at least.
They play him straight away with a lot of room along the lines. Good speed on the bases for Indianapolis. Did he go? They say yes. That's Chris Jones, the first base umpire, saying that Tim Belk committed.
It was a breaking ball there, and he tried to check it. He's not too happy about the call, as you can tell.
Chris Nisting has produced 1 out in this inning. And a strike 3 swing, and Tim Belk goes down. 2 outs.
What a big strikeout that is. Well, the Indians had the bases loaded, nobody out, and what a job Nichting has done coming in and getting 2 hitters. And the 89ers still have a 2-run lead with 2 men out.
So Nichting ties Belk up, and here's Dan Howitt, who's also playing right field tonight, usually the designated hitter. Actually bumped his head on a double by Derek Lee a few innings back. But he stayed in the game. He's 1 for 3, and a chance here to be an even bigger hero for Indianapolis.
Howard thought that pitch was inside.
Well, that's an awful good breaking ball. And that's a pitch that Howard's got to just say, hey, that's not what I'm looking for. So the guy throws a strike. I'm still going to get a pitch to hit here. You know, this is a little bit the mentality of hitting. Just because you fall behind, you're still going to get a pitch to hit, and concentrate on that.
Nichting's 0-1 to Dan Howitt. Count evens up.
I'll tell you, they had Nichting on the ropes with the bases loaded in a 3-1 count, and give Nichting credit. He got Kremlis, and then he fanned Belk.
And it's 1-2.
Well, that play by Ortiz, I think, really settled Nichting down a little bit, because he was in a situation where he was behind in the count. Ortiz makes a great play to kind of bail him out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Now he has thrown Howard 2 very good breaking balls, and you would think he'd throw him another one.
This cleanup spot coming in had produced only a 5 for 29 slate with no runs batted in. This one popped up the second, and it will end the inning. The Indians push 2 across, but avoid bigger damage. Oklahoma City with a 2-run lead after 7 complete at Victory Field. 12 years could wrap up the American Association title tonight if they hang on to defeat the Indianapolis Indians. Still 2 innings left to play, though. Ron Sexton, Howard Kellman, and Joe Hillman live from Victory Field in Indianapolis as Larry Lubers continues for the Indianapolis Indians. Final line on Dreyer. 6 innings pitched tonight for Oklahoma City. Issued 9 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 8 strikeouts, and no walks.
Well, the Indians may not get another opportunity like that one. Bases loaded, nobody out. They already had played at 2 runs. They're back in the ball game, but still got to be very disappointed about not tying it up.
Yes, wasted opportunities, and that's been a big part of this game. The 89ers wasted a few early, and the Indians definitely played it too and had bases loaded, nobody out with your 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up and don't get a run. Situational hitting that we've talked about all night.
Benji Gill will lead off the top of the 8th for Oklahoma City. You see the line on his night.
I'm a little confused. I'm looking up at the board. It has no errors for Oklahoma City. That had to be an error on Eric Pappas on that play at the plate.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We ought to double check that somehow if we can. Maybe they just made a mistake up on the board. I think that's what it is. But
that was a very strange play. A veteran like Pappas for a catcher to be fooled. He had the force out, but elected to go ahead and attempt the tag, and in doing so, the ball was jarred loose. That scored Indianapolis' first run in the 7th. They tacked on another and trail 4-2.
This is a key half inning, I think. I think if Lubers can get them down 1-2-3, Indians carry some momentum to the plate in the bottom of the 8th inning, and they need to get right back up. Don't give the 89ers any hope here.
Good looking pitch there, and Benji Gill can think about it. One away. So here's Estrada, who was 1 for 5 last night. Reached on an error and has doubled tonight. Luger starts him off with a strike. This one deep into right. Howard, though, at the track. Dan Howard will make the catch. So with 2 out, the 8th continues for Brian Thomas, the leadoff batter for Oklahoma City. You're right, Howard. I watched batting practice earlier this afternoon. Ball's jumping off the bat fairly well, but it seems like once nighttime settles, so does it change.
It's just the way it is. It is easier to see the ball once it gets dark, but it doesn't carry as well.
Brian Thomas, the leadoff man, hitting just 125 coming in tonight into the postseason. Batted 263, though, during the regular season. Count even 1 ball and 1 strike. The Indians trying to build upon what they accomplished in the 7th will lead off the inning with Steve Gibraltar, Steve Eady, who started that 7th with a base hit, and Joe Kamak here in the bottom half of the 8th. You mentioned you spoke, Howard, to Dave Miley before this game this evening. Does he get nervous before big games, or can you tell? Ground ball to second should wrap up the inning, and it does. We'll get the answer to that when we come back. We move on to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Indianapolis trailing by 2. In this all-important game in the best of 5, Indians trail the series 2-1. And Jose Albero going for the Oklahoma City 89ers, but Indianapolis needs at least 2 more runs, or actually 3, and hang on for that Game 5 to be reality tomorrow night here at Victory Field. Indianapolis scoring for the first time tonight in the last inning with 2 runs. I would imagine they felt like they should have produced more than the 2, having the bases loaded with no outs.
I just double-checked with the official score, and they did not charge Pappas with an error. I just don't understand it. He dropped the ball in applying the tag. Now, you can debate about the fact that since he was on the bag, they could have called it a force play, as you had suggested, Joe, but he did drop the ball in applying the tag, and that's why the man was called safe.
Steve Gibraltar, who has struck out 3 times tonight, leading off the bottom of the 8th for Indianapolis. Chris Nichting remains in the game. Relief work continues for Oklahoma City. Nice bailout job in the last inning. Actually, Luis Ortiz had the key out, coming plateward for the force with the bases loaded. As Joe alluded, maybe took the sting off just a bit of the pressure from Nichting. And quickly 0-2 to Gibraltar, who's had the longest night, maybe the longest series of any one player. But this time he gets a hold of one into left center field. This is going to be extra bases. Steve Gibraltar has a double to lead off the 8th inning for Indianapolis.
Oh, that's a huge two-strike hit there. I mean, he looked awful his first 3 times at bats. And 0-2 pitch, this ball's down. He goes and gets it and drives it into left center. That's a pretty good piece of hitting there. May have been out of the strike zone a little bit, but he hit that ball a long way for a pitch down and away.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. I think it was out of the strike zone.
Well, here's a situation. They've got to get this run in. They've got to plate him. They've got to do some situational hitting. Give it a shot to go the other way. He's got to give an opportunity to get Gibraltar to third base here and chip away.
I think they might have pulled the hidden ball trick on it.
They did. Steve Gibraltar has been called out at second base. Oklahoma City just threw the ball around the horn. Gibraltar makes the trek back to the dugout.
What?
The hidden ball trick at second base. That's the only thing I can imagine.
That's had to be what it was.
I did see Vince Rainforth, though, signal out the second base umpire just a moment ago. So after the double, this nightmare worsens for Steve Gibraltar. 3 strikeouts tonight, the double at second base, and they catch him off the bag with the ball for out number 1 in this inning. What a bizarre play.
I didn't see it, but I assume that's what happened.
Crew back in the truck trying to sift through the tape to see if they can find out what happened. Edie sends one into left, and this ball would have scored the 3rd run for Indianapolis. However, we'll start over again just an out later. Stay on the bag, Steve. 1 away here in the 8th inning.
Well, this young kid can hit. There's no doubt about that. He goes up there swinging the bat well, hits the ball where it's pitched, and how big is that hidden ball play now? I mean, 1-run ball game with nobody out, runner on second. You got an opportunity to definitely move this runner over to get him in scoring position.
Steve Gibraltar, how embarrassing and upset. This is a huge game, and certainly he didn't mean to do it, and maybe it's just a good play by the opposition if in fact that's what happened. We're still not certain as to what occurred.
Maybe he missed first base and they appealed, but they didn't throw to first, so it had to be him off the bag, and they tagged him out.
Yeah, I saw the signal out, and the 89ers whipped it around the horn. Steve hesitated before coming back to the dugout, but you could see his disenchantment with the call and the entire situation, and let's hope it doesn't sum up his series. But he's not had the best of times against Oklahoma City here in the postseason. 1-2 the count to Joe Kamak. Edie remains at second base with 1 away. Indianapolis trailing by 2 in the home half of the 8th inning.
I don't know if I've ever seen that at this level of baseball, Howard. How about yourself?
I've seen it over the years. Yes, I have.
That's unbelievable.
But in a situation like that, I mean, where's he going? Nobody out. We've seen it over the years. There was a player who managed in this league this year, Timmy Ireland, who was the master at it, and he had his team doing it. I remember him pulling it on the Indians in 78 and 79. You wait for the opportune moment like this one, a key situation to do it.
Kamak with some pop. Out of play to the right side. Is that scored as a caught stealing in the book?
No, it's just you give the put out to the man who applied the tag. We'll double check it after this half inning. I'll run over and double check that.
Yeah, it's just like a guy getting a double and being thrown out at third, going for a triple.
Well, we know this. There are nearly 8,000 fans in the ballpark. Hopefully someone saw exactly what happened. Edie remains at second with 1 away. Kamak hits one to short. Benji Gill with the throw on to first. And there are 2 outs. Two away for Brandon Wilson. So disappointing because back-to-back doubles. However, Gibraltar's not around long enough in time to produce the run following the double by Steve Edie. So the score remains 4-2 in this bizarre 8th inning, and one that was so pivotal and true for Indianapolis last night. Begins with an oddity tonight at Victory Field.
Yeah, the other thing too, Ron, is this crowd had gotten into the ball game. I mean, they were excited. The double, leadoff double, opportunity to score some more runs, and all of a sudden that happens, and it's kind of gotten dead silence even after Edie's double following that up. It just the air's been taken out.
Brandon Wilson exchanging words with Rick Roeder, the home plate umpire. The count 1 ball, no strikes with 2 away. 80 at third base. 4-2 Oklahoma City in the 8th. And 2 outs in the inning. Danny Patterson, the closer, and Chris Curtis continue to warm up. And the 89er bullpen is now 1-2 to Brandon Wilson. Wilson fouls this one back and out of play. I'm just trying to recollect back to the double. I recall seeing Gibraltar with a smile, so pleased that on an 0-2 pitch he was able to drive one into the gap.
I'm sure they were talking to him. They said something nice to him, made him smile, and he walked off the base, and then they tagged him out. That's what they do. They talk to you, get your mind off your job, get you to take a step or two off the base. You know he wasn't smiling after he was tagged out, that's for sure.
To the score. Oklahoma City with a win tonight would wrap it up.
Well, there's a big situation here. If Brandon Wilson can get a base hit and bring the Indians within a run, it brings some life back to everybody.
Nickton has pitched very well in relief. This one fouled off to the left side again.
Yeah, good battle here by Wilson. He's hanging in here. He's fouled off a couple pretty good pitches by Nickton, and the timely hitting, as we've been on. This is what it's about. They didn't get it last inning when they had the opportunities, and need a big 2-out hit for the Indians here.
Nice and sweet.
Parent club of the Indians, the Reds, losing tonight in extra innings 3-2 at San Diego. Meanwhile, Texas losing in the 7th inning to Milwaukee 8-1. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 away.
Reds AA club was eliminated tonight. Jacksonville beat Chattanooga 4-0. So Jacksonville wins the Southern League Championship 3-1.
Wilson backs out.
Marlon Allen is on deck to pinch hit for Trovin Valdez.
Allen, one of the few young guns who manufactured and produced last night for Indianapolis in that Big 8. Wilson with a shot to left center field, but it's going to be tracked down, and a nice running catch by Sagmon in left. A bizarre 8th inning comes to a close. No runs across for Indianapolis. Score remains 4-2. The Indians will have one more chance here in Game 4 of this best of 5. We move to the 9th at Victory Field. Game 4, best of 5. Larry Luber's on in relief for Indianapolis. Continues throwing. 4-2 the score. And Howard Kellman, the radio voice of the Indianapolis Indians, has the scoop on the hidden ball trick. What exactly happened last inning?
John Shave, the second baseman, tagged Gibraltar out after he wandered off the bag.
You're thinking maybe the pitcher, Nickton, had possibly stuck him behind, but that wasn't the case. The hidden ball trick. Let's hope that's not the final chapter for Indianapolis here in this series with Oklahoma City. Still 1 inning left to play, though. And John Shave, Exhibit A, produced last inning, will bat now here in the 9th. One ball and no strike. As we mentioned, Lubers had started a game previously in this series, actually the opening game. Shave fouls one back and out of play against Oklahoma City. Marcus Moore started this game tonight for Indianapolis, going 4 innings and 94 pitches, allowed 2 runs, no earned runs, 3 hits, 4 walks, or excuse me, 4 strikeouts and 5 walks. We've seen Tom Doyle, Todd Etler, and now Larry Lubers for Indianapolis. That's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, the way the game was going, you wouldn't think the Indians were going to get an opportunity to get back in it, but they did. They had their chances. Let's give Oklahoma City some credit. Nichting with a good job getting out of the bases loaded, none out jam, and then the very heady play by John Shave.
Shave at the plate now, swings and misses.
Larry Lubers has been most impressive tonight for the Indians. He's come in and really put the slam the door on Oklahoma here, and it kept the Indians in the ball game, which is always important. People tend to forget when you get down 4 or 5 when the pitchers come in. He's got to keep the defense and give the team a chance to score some runs and get back in it. If you just come in and give up a couple, it only hurts.
Right, you can't do it without the good middle and long relief.
Luis Ortiz, a big defensive play back in the 7th, pops this one into straightaway center field. Steve Gibraltar there to make the catch.
You know, let's not forget about that hidden ball trick. I mean, possibly Edie doesn't come up and get a double back-to-back. He may have been trying to go the other way. Who knows what would have happened. The opportunity lost was when they had the bases loaded and nobody out and don't score a couple runs with your 2-3-4 hitter up to plate. You know, anything could have happened if that hidden ball trick doesn't work.
It's 2 great opportunities the Indians had.
You're right. And the 89ers have made some plays. I mean, they've come up defensively with a couple plays that have helped themselves out. And Nichting's been very impressive when he's had to make some pitches.
Derek Lee has put the ball in the air every time up tonight. 1 for 4. That one hit nearly out of here to right field. Bounce this one back and out of play. If there is a game 5 tomorrow night, Indianapolis will go with Travis Buckley, who's had a terrific postseason. Jose Albero would throw for Oklahoma City. Sends this one up and out once again. 0-2 quickly to Derek Lee.
Well, this is a game the Indians most definitely could have won. They committed the 3 errors, which led to 3 unearned Oklahoma City runs.
One ball and 2 strikes.
They're going to come up with Chauvin Valdez. He's due to lead off the bottom of the 9th. Tacomba Connor and Frank Kremlis, 9-1 and 2.
Lee should be in the souvenir business.
Yesterday deposited a souvenir over the right field wall.
Good power. As we mentioned, just missed one tonight. Had 13 home runs during the regular season. 2 for 4 last night. Trying to go 2 for 5 in tonight's game 4. Lubers gears up for the payoff pitch with nobody on. 2 outs. Indianapolis trailing 4-2. Top of the 9th inning. And the 3-2 to Lee misses down low. Larry not happy. So Ricker Fanida comes to the plate. After an 0 for 4 night last night, 1 for 2 tonight. 7th walk by Indianapolis pitching.
They only had 10 in 8 games in the playoffs, and tonight they got 7. So we talked about that earlier, how they hadn't been walking anybody and giving people up, and tonight it's come back to hurt them. It hurt Marcus Moore.
Yeah, it really hurt Moore, and that's Luber's first walk in 2 2/3. It's just the fact that Moore walked 5 in 4 innings.
Lubers jumps ahead 0-1. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I jinxed the team tonight reading that little note from the outset, but it's impressive and explains exactly why they've been so competitive here in the postseason. Anytime you throw strikes, you're going to be in games. And tonight they're in it, despite the walks by Moore, trailing by 2 here in the 9th. And it's 0-2 to Fanida. There's one thing, despite all the call-ups before the postseason, Cincinnati really didn't touch the starting pitching. They did take the catcher Brooke Fordyce, but the veteran Joe Kamak here to call the games, and they've gotten great pitching throughout the postseason here in Indianapolis. Ground ball to Edie at 3rd. took this route to second for the force, and Indianapolis will have one last shot as we go to the bottom of the ninth. The Indians trail by 2 in this game 4 best of 5, and the crowd responds, hoping for big things to come. Stay tuned. It comes your way next on Indy TV. Indians begin the bottom half of the ninth inning, trailing by 2. Those 2 runs back in the 7th. Had a great chance in the 8th, but bizarre play. Steve Gibraltar led off the 8th inning with the double and was a victim of the hidden ball trick in this all-important game 4 tonight. Steve Eady followed with the double that would have scored Indianapolis' 3rd run, but it remains 4-2 here in the bottom of the 9th, and on trying to finish it off, where you see Danny Patterson, the closer for Oklahoma City. Valdez will lead off this bottom half. Good speed for Indianapolis if he can reach base.
Well, they know he likes to bunt, and if you can get a shot of Estrada at 3rd, he's right on top of him.
Came into pinch run back in that 7th. And it's quickly 0-2.
There's Estrada way in on the grass behind in front of Dave Miley, the Indians skipper and third base coach. Now with 2 strikes, he backs up just a little bit. Patterson throwing hard stuff at Valdez, just coming right after.
Steve Dreyer started this game for Oklahoma City. His off-speed, off-range causing all kinds of problems for Indianapolis. Maybe they'll respond to the heat, and again, maybe not. 1 down is Valdez, the strikeout victim in his first at-bat tonight.
Yeah, there's a big out by Patterson, getting a strikeout to get that first hitter up, and the Indians are going to make a comeback. They're going to have to do it against one of the hotter pitchers in the league. He's been very successful with 3 saves here in the playoffs.
He saved both Oklahoma City victories in this series, and he did the right thing. He just came after him with hard stuff.
Yeah, no reason to fool around with a guy that can't hit the ball at the ballpark.
Connors saw it off, and this one sneaks past Ortiz at first. So the tying run comes to the plate for Indianapolis.
Huge break for the Indians. It may have taken a bad hop there. It had plenty of English on it.
Oh, that's got to be an error there. I mean, Ortiz has got to knock that ball down at worst. But an opening for the Indians.
Potential tying run at the plate.
I believe that is scored in. First error of the ball game for Oklahoma City.
Well, they put hit up on the board, though, and now they've put an error in the total.
You have a quarter you want to flip? Connor with good speed at first, elects to hold, though. Nice job by Pappas to shield. Frank Kremlis at the plate. Frank has made contact all but once tonight.
I'll tell you what, it can't be both a hit and an error, and they've given him a hit on the total for hits and an error on the error total.
Kremlis represents a tying run, and that's strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 away in the bottom of the 9th inning. Indianapolis trailing 4-2. If they lose, it's over. Oklahoma City would claim the championship. They won the first 2 games in this series, but lost to Indianapolis 5-3 last night. Pappas shields another one. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Those scored left or right, maybe Connor attempts, although doubtful given they're down 2 runs, but as long as the ball's out in front, there's no chance of it.
You can't take any kind of risk. Your run is not important at first base.
This one sliced into right field. That's a base hit. Connor will take third base. Kremlis obviously holds at first. And now the tying run is on base. And Tim Belt comes to the plate. We go to the meat of the order, which has failed at times in this series, slumping. Let's take another look at the hit.
Here it is again. A good job of hitting by Kremlis, going right with a pitch. I want to tell you, friends, this has been a very exciting ball game. All kinds of opportunities for the Indians, who now have 13 hits. Lee will come up with the ball and do the right thing, throw it into second.
So Frank Grimless with his first hit on the night. Perfect timing, too. We talked about timely hitting at the outset. How about some more from Tim Belk? That's certainly what tops his agenda at this point. The Indians down by 2. Swings and fouls off the first pitch. Gets a piece of Rick Roeder, the home plate umpire.
I think he was thinking about ending the game with that swing.
He went after that. You know, Patterson has had some pretty good success, but he has given up hits. That's his 8th hit that he's given up in 4+ innings. So he's usually come in and gotten guys on base and then gotten them out of a jam to continue to save. And he did it in game 2. He gave up a run in the 9th, but ended up getting out of a jam.
Valdez started the 9th with a strikeout. We have this hit/error by Connor, which remains in question. And then Grimless with the sharp single to right. Count even now on Tim Belk. 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 away.
Here's a situation where the guy on first base has got to get a good read on any ball hit to the gap so he can score. If a ball's hit and he gets a good read, he can score from first. If he doesn't, then it's only going to be a double. And they got to have a situation where that runner, Grimless, has got to be aware.
That's a very good point, Joe, because he is the potential tying run. Now, Tom Brown, the 89er pitching coach, is going out to the mound, and they have a little meeting out there. He'll talk to Patterson. The meeting is brief. 1 man out, so Grimless is not running on contact. But you're right, if the ball is in the gap, you want to see him score, and you want to see him go to third if possible on a base hit.
And both bullpens idle while the visit was brief. They're going to go with Patterson, obviously. No one warming up in Oklahoma City's bullpen at this point. 1-1 to Belk. And now Tim jumps ahead. Tying run at first base. Winning run at home plate. Belk followed by Dan Howlett and Steve Gibraltar. This one grounded to shortstop. That's not good. Hill gets 1 on to first. And Oklahoma City on a 6-4-3 wraps up the 1996 American Association Championship at Victory Field. They won the first ever game at this ballpark. And sweet for them that they win the last game this season. It represents a championship in the American Association for a team that finished last place in 8 of the last 12 years. Oklahoma City victorious tonight. They win it all for the first time since 1992. Indianapolis had their chances in this game. Several chances, Joe Hillman, but Oklahoma City just the better team in this series.
Well, and you know, you get in a situation, they had the opportunities, like you mentioned, especially in the 7th inning where they had the bases loaded and nobody out with the 2, 3, and 4 hitters up. But, you know, let's take our hats off to Oklahoma. They made some plays down the stretch. Ortiz makes a great play at first, and Nick Team came in and pitched out of the jam. And, you know, the hidden ball trick saved him a little bit. So Oklahoma City made some plays, and they got to Marcus Moore early, as we talked. Even though he walked quite a few 5 batters, they scored early, put the Indians in a tough position.
Sour feeling right now, but it's been a terrific season for the Indianapolis Indians. Who would have thought after all those countless call-ups by the Cincinnati Reds they would even be in this series? But young guys like Dikembe Connor, Steve Eady, and others produced in this series to take it to a Game 4. Final score 4-2. We're back to wrap it up after this on Indy TV.